Má bhíon aon cheisne agat, téigh census.ie. nó gléigear a náid a hocht a héine hocht, a dó a náid a dó a dó, a náid a chathair. Déan áireamh 2022. Bís an áireamh.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hi, hello, good morning. An auspicious start, I think they call that. I was going to say hi, then hello, but anyway, hello, good morning. 5 minutes past 9, Wednesday, the 6th of April. How are you keeping? Hope you're very well indeed. Good to be back. Thanks to Donald for sitting in for me yesterday. Right, a busy show today. Lots to get across, as you can imagine. There's lots happening in the world of news. We want your views on all of it, by the way. Stuff we'll be talking about, stuff that you want to talk about. 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps and texts, or call 07491 25,000. Good to have you joining us on your radio or on your smart speaker. If you want to watch the programme, you can go to our website, highlandradio.com. You'll see a link. Click on it. I think it's working. If not, but it is, you can go straight to our social media pages. YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland. Like and subscribe us there if you don't mind. It does make a difference, you know, in terms of the videos spreading out around the YouTube universe. So if you're inclined to watch us on YouTube, give us a like and a subscribe. And the same with Facebook, Highland Radio News and Sport or Highland Radio. Okay, let's look at the papers this morning. We'll start with the Finn Valley Voice and their headline, Local Bronze Age Burial Bowls on display. And that's not the one that Noel Noel received for Donegal Person of the Year, though it is quite a bowl. But anyway, two rare 4,000-year-old bronze-aged burial bowls found on a Finn Valley farm are currently on display in a landmark exhibition at the British Museum. The World of Stonehenge at the British Museum London offers new insight on one of the world's great wonders, bringing the true story of the ancient stone circle into sharper focus than ever before. The Donegal Post this morning, fish production in Killybegs could be placed in unnecessary jeopardy unless action is taken immediately to sort out specific arrangements relating to landing fish. That was the verdict from two TDs this week following a controversy at the pier last week over landing rules and procedures. Of course, Charlie McConalogue is the Marine Minister. We have put a call in with him to discuss this, to get his views on it, to see what he thinks on it. He'll hear that directly too, though, from Sinn Féin's Padraig McLaughlin and Pearse Doherty. They've repeated the call for fellow County TD and Minister for the Marine, Charlie McConalogue, to get matters sorted quickly and curb the Sea Fisheries Protection Agency's role in this. Now, what's happening is boats are landing at Killybegs with blue whiting. Blue whiting, I think, traditionally was used as fish meal. It is being landed now in vats of water, and because it's a very tender fish and can break down quite easily, when it's in the water, it can be used for food, and I think it's exported mostly to Africa. Now, what's happening is they're landing at the pier. Two boats now landing at the pier with a ton of fish. Over a ton of fish in some cases, and they're looking to get it off and weighed in the water so the fish is preserved so it can be processed for human consumption. But what's happening is the authorities are saying, we won't weigh this with water, you'll have to drain the water, and that means the fish would degenerate to the point whereby it would be no use for human consumption. So the skippers are saying, no, we're going to land this fish elsewhere, maybe in their home port or wherever it might be outside of Ireland. And that means that those who are employed in fish processing in Killybegs don't have the work to do that they would have if this fish had been landed there. So it needs to be sorted. It can't be too complicated, can it? But we'll try and do our best to try and get the answers for you, as well as, I say, in contact with the Marine Minister's department there. The Irish Times, the eagerly anticipated report on the review of Letterkenny University Hospital's complaint handling process has been received by the Ombudsman. That's according to the Irish Times. The review was carried out by the National Director of the HSE's Quality and Assurance and Verification Division following an Inishowen patient's complaint to the Ombudsman about his unprofessional treatment in the hospital's emergency department. On to the Nationals now, and the Irish Independent tells us, and this is what they're predicting at the moment, the war in the Ukraine will hit the Irish economy hard as consumer and energy prices surge, but it will not lead to a recession. That's the view of the central bank anyway. Economists have warned that growth will slow sharply for the rest of this year as high inflation and general uncertainty prompts consumers to cut their spending and businesses to slash investment. But the central bank is not forecasting a recession. That being said, it's making these predictions based on what the current situation is. And if the situation worsens in Ukraine, well, then obviously that's going to have a greater impact, you can imagine, on our economy. Even so, though, the outlook from the bank in its latest economic forecast published today is far worse than just a few weeks ago. Fresh blows from increased energy costs and trade disruption will hold back Ireland's full recovery from the COVID shock until beyond 2024. The central bank now expects consumer prices will increase by an average of 6.5% over the course of this year, up 4.5%. And whilst even maybe there are people that can absorb those increases, I think the sentiment is where the big problem is, and that's what the central bank can't predict. I think most of us, are we? I certainly am, are adjusting how you spend or, what you spend money on. And I think that's where the economy starts to hit, because we start making decisions about not buying that bed or not going out for that meal, or in other ways not booking that holiday. And I think that is the one factor that they can't predict. So it will be interesting to see what happens there over the course of the year. The Irish Times, let's go with the Irish Times first, because later this morning the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, he's going to address the Dáil, and wait till you see the turnout. Listen, I'm not it's such an important issue what's happening in Ukraine. But it's going to be wedged. Everyone's going to be on there. There's going to be bums on seats that haven't been in those seats for an awful long time. It's going to be packed. It's going to be interesting as well to find out how Zelensky, because in all of his addresses to other nations' parliaments, he's tried to anchor the Ukrainian situation in whatever country he's talking to, their history. Now, there's a lot of similarities between Ireland and the Ukraine in terms of our history. Neutral status as well, of course. That didn't work out well for the Ukrainians, they would feel. But also, too, obviously, there's part of this country that's under the authority of another country, and there's many people on this island that don't want that to be the case. So you could say it's an unwanted occupation. And it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see how he references that without upsetting the British, because obviously he's very much reliant on them for weaponry and what have you. So it'll be, as I say, relating to how he's talked and talked about the Ukrainian situation in the context of the country he's speaking to. I'll be interested to see how he diplomatically talks about the Irish situation if he goes down that road without upsetting the British at the same time. Okay, well, let's read on here. He has called for the establishment of trials similar to that conducted in Nuremberg after the Second World War to prosecute those involved in Russian war crimes in his country. He told the United Nations Security Council yesterday of killings, rape, torture and looting carried out by Russian forces in Ukraine. Ukraine had experienced the most terrible war crimes since the Second World War, he said, suggesting the killings seen in the city of Bucha could be replicated elsewhere. And that is what is expected. He said the Russian military and those who gave them orders must be brought to justice immediately for war crimes in Ukraine. Now, what we do see, though, is that you might get some soldiers held to account for it. But the leaders, those that pull the strings, often get away, don't they? It stinks to high heavens, I think I can say, but I'm open to correction on it. Dr. Tony Holohan's new position with the Trinity College. Now, the Trinity College is much state-funded, of course, but it's separate from the Department of Health. And what's happened is that Dr. Tony Holohan, as CMO, is just being transferred to Trinity College to conduct research and what have you. But it is the Department of Health that's going to pay his wages, €190,000. Now, I think personally, I think in this day and age, no one should be paid that amount of money, serving the public anyway. And you know what? If he could get better money elsewhere, well, let him go. Give someone else an opportunity. You know, I just don't think it's an appropriate use of our finances at this time for any of these people to be earning this type of money, 187 odd thousand euro plus, plus perks. That's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous in this day and age, or in any day and age for that matter, especially when he's so hard to get any access to. I don't think we spoke to him throughout the entire pandemic. He didn't do any regional media, as far as I'm aware, anyway. But that's besides the point. I don't have an axe to grind in that regard. But there's a lot of questions need to be answered as to who made the decision for the Department of Health to pay his wages. Because this is an extra burden on the Department of Health because they have to replace him. So presumably a new CMO will want to come in earning €190,000 and they're still going to be paying Tony Holohan's €190,000. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Now, the Minister for Health can big it up and say it's a really important research role about preparing ourselves for future pandemics and all that. That is grand, okay? But I mean, the university should be paying his wages out of the money they get from the state, and then they can balance their books so that it doesn't cost any more as such. They might say, right, well, there's a research in this area that we don't really require at the moment, or there's a couple of positions there that we're going to have to merge in order to pay this salary. I don't know, whatever it would take. But the Department of Health paying effectively for two CMOs does not make any sense to me, and I don't really think that can be easily explained away. And no one is taking any responsibility for it. Micheál Martin doesn't know anything about it. He's not taking responsibility for it. Eamon Ryan knows nothing about it. He's not taking responsibility for it. Leo Varadkar, he knows nothing about it. He's not taking responsibility for it. And the Minister of Health, Stephen Donnelly, he thinks it's a great idea. He knew about it, but he's not taking any responsibility for it. And he was on an interview this morning as the boss of the HSE. He is the ultimate boss. He knew nothing about it except to come on and do spin to explain it away. And Gallop reasonably lightly as well in it. And that's it. And we'll talk about it today, maybe tomorrow, and then it will just go away. And out of the Department of Health's budget, there will be two €190,000 payments being made for one CMO's position. That doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, reading on in the article, none of the coalition leaders was aware that the Department of Health is to fork out 187 grand a year for Dr. Tony Holohan's new Trinity College role before reports appeared in the media yesterday. The Department of Health last night repeatedly refused to clarify who signed off on the outgoing Chief Medical Officer's controversial secondment, which means just being transferred, subsumed into to another organisation. He'll take up the role of the Professor of Public Health Strategy and Leadership under the same terms and conditions of his CMO contract, with his wages to be paid by the taxpayer. Taoiseach Micheál Martin told the Dáil yesterday he had no hand, act or part in the decision. We've heard those words before. But I think that's a disgrace. Ignorance is not a defence. Not knowing something like that shows that maybe you're not really across everything you should be in your position, or the people you have employed to make you aware of things aren't doing their job. You can't just go, oh, well, plausible deniability. That's not a defence. That's an indictment on your on the abilities. But anyway, what do you think? 086 60 25,000. Maybe it is grand. 086 60 25,000 or call 07491 25,000. But a lot of us would have to pay a lot of tax to pay 1 year's wage. The Graham Dwyer, this is the Sun here. The Graham Dwyer mobile phone ruling will have a significant effect on the capacity of the police to nail criminals. The Court of Justice of the EU yesterday ruled that mobile data retention practices used in the case against the Sikh killer breached European law. Now, he's making all the headlines. It was Elaine that he was convicted of murdering, so I'm going to think about her this morning and let them sort that out legally. But that's the person's whose name I want to remember this morning, not his. And on to the Mirror. 175,000 of us are lawless motorists driving without insurance in Ireland. Are you surprised at that figure? 175,000. People must know you can get away with it, though. I mean, if there was like 10,000, there's 10,000 of us chancing it, But 175,000 people driving around insurance, some of them obviously are going to say, look, I can't afford it, and they're going to do it anyway. But there's some level of organisation in people saying, look, it's worth the risk. But anyway, apparently it's pushing up ordinary drivers' premiums by an average of €35. The number of uninsured drivers has jumped 23,000 since 2018 and accounts for nearly 8% of the country's 2.23 million private vehicles. So almost 1 in 10 people just uninsured. The Motor Insurers Bureau of Ireland says 1 in every 13 drivers does not have insurance and should be punished by the law. It caught uninsured vehicles, if caught, are seized on the spot, and drivers are hit with an automatic court appearance. But they obviously don't feel they're likely to get caught because that's a lot of people chancing it. Now, as I say, there are those that are going to feel that they've no alternative. Kinahan exposed. This is the Irish Daily Star. Apparently 4.5 million loot cases. They Kinahan gang or something. The Criminal Assets Bureau scored a major victory over the Kinahan cartel with the seizure of a $1 million mansion from Jim Mansfield Jr., where mob boss Daniel Kinahan once lived. If you're interested in the gangland stuff, that is the paper for you this morning. Right, just a final reminder for you, 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps and text, or call 07491 25,000. Our first guest joins us after these.
The 9 till noon show.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
Tune in this Thursday for all the latest farming news and views straight after the 5 p.m. news. Brought to you in association with Lifford Credit Union, who have recently launched Cultivate, an agricultural loan at only 6.55%, APR 6.75%. Call into any of their 3 offices for more information or to make an appointment. Lifford Credit Union, Rafo Newton Lifford, supporting local farmers.
Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure has everything you need for getting fit in 2022. From training gear to resistance bands, skipping ropes, weights and foam rollers, we have all the essentials to see you through every step of your fitness journey from training to recovery. Shop our range of gym wear, equipment and accessories at michaelmurphysports.ie.
At Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Take It to the Limit is a celebration of the Eagles by Johnny Brady, Simon Casey, Nigel Connell and the Sheeran family. You can hear Take It to the Limit for one night only at the Millennium Forum Derry on April 14th. That's Johnny Brady, Simon Casey, Nigel Connell and the Sheeran family band as they perform Take It to the Limit, a celebration of the Eagles on Thursday, April the 14th. Tickets £28. On sale now from the theatre box office or online at millenniumforum.co.uk.
At ESB Networks, we're connecting Ireland to a clean electric future. And as part of the National Smart Metering Programme, we're now installing smart electricity meters in your area. Your new smart meter will reduce the need for estimated bills, help you to manage your electricity usage more efficiently, and enable you to access smart electricity products and services. We'll contact you before your meter is installed. Find out more at esbnetworks.ie/smartmeter.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. Now, yesterday, Cabinet approved the establishment of regional health areas in a radical shape-up in the structures of the HSE. One person, we're told, will be in charge of service delivery in the 6 regions, with a slimmed-down central HSE overseeing national policy. Each area will have its own dedicated budget based on population, and it's hoped devolving power to the regions will improve healthcare by allowing local managers to look after local issues. Pat Harvey's a former CEO of the Northwestern Health Board, Health Board Northwest. He joins us on the programme now. Really interested to get his insight into this. Good morning to you, Pat.
Morning, Greg.
On the face of it, and maybe cynically, you might say, right, okay, well, the HSE current experiment is over and we're returning to the way things are before. Is it like that? How different do you think these new structures might be to the old structures?
Well, I suppose I'm well on record as having often said that the doing away of health boards in the fashion in which they were done away had some serious issues associated with it. I always thought that there was a need for some tidying up of the way the health service ran, but I always thought that doing away with the health boards threw the baby out with the bathwater. I was always concerned that some place like the Northwest would lose out in terms of being just one area, part of an overall countrywide area, one part of a countrywide administration. And the Northwest is unique, and its needs are unique, and the response that's needed is unique. So I always thought that there was a need for local administration. So the reintroduction of some sort of devolved administration is welcome as far as I'm concerned. Whether it gets the same level of authority and responsibility as health boards had, I don't know. It will remain to be seen. But there's no reason why health service rules, if you like, whether you have cancer services or whether you don't, what way things should work, all those rules can be set centrally in the same way as they're set for any organisation. But the operation of it locally is better done locally by local administration, owned locally, local accountability, and so on.
Do you think it could lead to establishments of centres of excellence, for example, in the Northwest, more in that, you know, the critical mass, the strong argument being made? Is it possible that we could see a situation whereby people that have to travel to Dublin or elsewhere for certain services, that under this new system, they may be provided more locally, or is that a bit optimistic?
No, I think the rules will always be set centrally. For instance, if you want to rationalise cancer services in the country, that's better done centrally with expertise that says you should have 8 cancer centres, you should or you should not have one in the Northwest. That's always going to be dictated by the centre. You're going to have national screening programmes and so on and so forth. But that doesn't mean that the operation of services shouldn't be managed locally. I mean, if you go back to the health board days, I used to have to stand up as CEO once a month in front of a local forum of politicians, public representatives, and they were the public's representatives, and consultants and nurses, and account for my stewardship. I think that sort of formula serves the system in the Northwest very well. I could be asked anything about cancer services, waiting lists, queues in A&E, whether a place was clean enough in some day centre in the Northwest or whatever it may be. I think that local accountability is very valuable, and stand up and account for your stewardship. But that's managing the service on a day-to-day basis. You're still going to have most of the rules dictated by the centre. If I can just draw a comparison, Greg, with, say, the higher education system. So the Higher Education Authority gets a budget from the department, does a deal with each of the colleges like Trinity or LYIT, and they play by the rules that the HEA dictates. So the HEA might say in the service level agreement, I want more access for disadvantaged people. I want more research on this. I want more STEM subjects. I want whatever. But then LYIT, with its own governing body, with its own authority, gets on with doing it, and they account for the stewardship once a year or 3 or 4 times a year to the centre. That sort of model makes a great deal of sense, but it gives local ownership and local loyalty, and people locally know who's making decisions.
Well, that's it, you see, because the problem we have at the moment, be it in the area of residential care, mental health services, even in terms of problems in the hospital, misdiagnoses or misdiagnoses, even if they end up through the courts and have been processed and people get compensated, no one seems to be responsible. There is no one that you can say, right, it's their fault. Perhaps then they'll say, oh, we'll have a review of it, and then someone might retire or whatever might happen. Do you think that firstly, do you think it's important that these new regional organisations, that there is a clear, I mean, you talked about standing up as CEO, you took responsibility. Do you think we will see that? Do you think that we'll get to a point whereby if there are errors, if there are mistakes, that somebody is held to account? Because I think that's one of the great frustrations from the public as well.
Well, I think that everybody would welcome being able to identify who it is in a more local area, can answer questions, can stand up and be accounting for the service. I mean, there will always be issues that need to be accounted for. And when that drifts all the way to Dublin, it feels like it's very remote. When it drifted all the way to Sligo or Manorhamilton, it didn't feel as remote. People could identify with whoever the individual was. So I think that more local accountability is a very significant positive. Whether it's evolved to that extent, whether there's that level of accountability, I don't know. But I don't know that they're going to put in boards where, for instance, public representatives will get a chance to go in and inquire. And I know that people can be cynical sometimes with public representatives. I'm quite the opposite. I just think that the public representatives represent the public, and they should be able to ask questions, and they should be able to get answers, and they should be able to get them at a local level. If you couple that with some expertise from the consultants and the nurses and so on, that's a pretty good formula that existed. But as I say, the baby may have been thrown out with the bathwater in an attempt to try and rationalise services. And a lot of it needed rationalisation, but not everything needed to be done the way it was done, I think.
But what wasn't rationalised was bureaucracy and you know, high level of management and overlapping of positions. I think one of the intentions of this is to tidy that up a little bit. But I think that's going to be one of the greatest challenges in that are we just going to see another layer of bureaucracy and management when to some extent that's one of the main problems with the HSE as it stands.
Well, yeah, I understand a lot of that frustration, and people would say even to get relatively minor decisions made, it has to make its way all the way through to the centre and who that makes that decision. There's no reason why it can't be relatively small and lean. The Higher Education Authority is not a big organisation. It's in one building. It's a couple of hundred people at the very most, and they set the policies and they set the expectations and they set the service level agreement, and they go out and they meet with their local colleges, and it's done. So there's no reason why the centre can't be relatively lean. Having said that, even to manage something like a cancer programme centrally and to have all the expertise and systems, it does take bodies. So there has to be some acknowledgement that you can't have it so lean that it's meaningless. But it should concentrate on just setting the rules by which the local people play, and then the local play should be managed locally.
All right, so I suppose in a nutshell, as much as we know right now and as much as we've seen, do you believe that this is the right approach that's being adopted with all your experience, Pat?
Well, I'm delighted that there's some move back towards local administration. I think that each area in the country has a uniqueness. I mean, it has always been the case that rural Ireland is very different from Dublin. So to have the one system managing both is a bit complex and difficult, and there are distractions in that. So the Northwest, or the West in the Northwest, is relatively unique. It's relatively unique in health terms, in education terms, and all of that. So it needs tailoring. It needs the management of it tailored to that uniqueness. So hopefully the devolution will not just be tokenist, but will actually be real. And as I say, there'll be more visibility, more accountability locally, and I think that's a good thing. And that's no reflection on management as they exist. They work in a very complex system. They do a very good job, and it's a very difficult challenge. But when you stand up once a month in front of a public forum with the media and the newspapers there, and you have to say why it is that something's happening or not happening, it hones your antenna, you're sharper, you're more inclined to be focused on it and not just on what it is that's coming from Dublin alone.
Yeah, all right, interesting. Listen, thank you very much indeed, Pat. That was Pat Harvey, former CEO of the Health Board Northwest.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102 127.
If you've got magic moments or great memories captured on your smartphone, now is a great time to have them printed at mcgees.ie. Simply upload your favourite photos, choose your size and finish, and McGee's will take care of the rest, with the results delivered to your door. Prices are from just 12 cents, and there's also creative options available. Preserve your memories today at mcgees.ie.
Let's call out his name.
Mike Denver in concert with guests Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine at the Millennium Forum Derry on Saturday, April 23rd. Tickets at the theatre box office. That's Mike Denver in concert at the Millennium Forum with Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine on Saturday, April 23rd.
Is your water safe to drink? If your water tastes unpleasant or has a foul smell, it may be a sign that something is in your water. Brothers Tech Donegal provide a complete private well water treatment service using the best water treatment equipment to meet your needs. Or maybe you drilled a new well and the water isn't satisfactory. At Brothers Tech, their expert team will also service existing problematic systems. If you're concerned about the quality of your water, call Brothers Tech on 087 638 7057.
For a huge selection of furniture, all at one showroom, pull into Grove Furnishings in Letterkenny. Sofas, beds, wardrobes, tables and chairs. Also a range of carpet, vinyl, rugs and laminated flooring. If it's time for a change, it's time for a visit to Grove Furnishings. Grove deliver throughout Donegal, Derry and Tyrone. Be inspired at Grove Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny.
Tá éit a chudí rio le daoine eile. Tá cuidú a tastal an Ukraine inis, agus an éit sin faoi réir le foiilte mhór a chur a bhuaite na Ukraine, agus chun taú láisin a chaithí fannacht ina né. Tá agriachtaí main commerceidin héireann take le chéile chun taú le caranis an seo sáile agus na Ukraine. Jane do chuidinis ag irelandforukraine.ie.
Okay, in about 25 minutes, we're going to see an unusual sight, and I don't mean that particularly cynically, because it's factual in that I'm sure the Dáil is going to be absolutely wedged, because the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is going to address a joint sitting of the Oireachtas this morning via video link. TD senators and 45 foreign diplomats will gather in the Dáil chamber to hear what's being described as the historic address by Mr. Zelensky, whose country has been repelling a Russian invasion for the past 6 weeks. There's a couple of things I want to speak to Independent Deputy Thomas Pringle about, so I want to get your views on this, as I'm sure you'll be among them. What's your feelings going into this at 10 o'clock, Thomas? Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. How's it going? Yeah, to be honest with you, I mean, I think it's very important that we stand with the people of Ukraine who are suffering a terrible time at the moment through the invasion of the Russians and that there, and that's very important. And I think we should show solidarity with the people in relation to that.
Are you being quite careful in your language there in talking about the people rather than Ukraine as a whole? Are you choosing your words carefully, purposely there?
Yeah, because I would have a difficulty, particularly, you know, the president of Ukraine attacked Ireland at the European Parliament last week over our role in supporting Ukraine, and I presume it was a dig at our neutrality, and I think that's very important, and I think that we need to protect our neutrality, and I do believe that we can support Ukraine and support the people of Ukraine and also be neutral, which is very important.
Is the crimes of Russia, as they're being described, so abhorrent that this is not, you don't have to be neutral in this, that there is not two sides to the argument? This is a question, it's not a statement, that you can, you know, I mean, we're completely politically non-neutral in this at the very least. Or do you think we should be taking a more neutral approach to it? Is that what you're saying, or what?
No, what I'm saying is there's absolutely no doubt that we should be condemning the actions of Russia. If you know, war crimes are taking place, are completely wrong and they should never happen. But that doesn't mean that we should be rolling up and going to fight on behalf of the Ukrainian people and sending weapons to Ukraine as well. You know, we are a neutral country, and I think we have had a very strong and a very honourable position as a neutral country over the last 50, 60 years, and I think that needs to be maintained and strengthened. And I think we can actually do a role in terms of protecting the people of Ukraine and talking on fighting on behalf of Ukraine, but in a way that respects neutrality, in a way that respects that the war should end and it should stop, and it should stop right away. There's no doubt about that. But we need to do it from a neutral point of view. I don't think that us blanket supporting NATO or anything like that there is actually going to do anything for the people of Ukraine.
And the Russian ambassador was invited to it. Are you in favour of those type of actions?
I think I don't know why the Russian ambassador was invited to, because I mean, obviously, he was invited so that they could say that they didn't invite, that he couldn't say that he wasn't invited, if you know what I mean. I don't know what the rationale was in relation to it. I wouldn't have expected that the Russians would turn up to it, and I don't think that this particular ambassador would be that welcome either. You know, I mean, basically he's told blatant untruths or lies to the Irish people about what's happening out there as well. You know, so I mean, I understand why he's not there, and I'm glad he's not there as well. Like,
all right, and the other issue I want to talk to you about, because he was speaking during a debate on employing CCTVs to clamp down on illegal dumping, which confused me a little bit, because I know I did interviews maybe 7-8 years ago about the council employing CCTV. There were mobile cameras, so the dumpers didn't know where they were. As it turns out, that information can't even be used to prosecute, unless I'm missing something here. Are you in favour of legislation that would allow us to sort of go around the GDPR elements and use CCTV and drones to catch the likes of fly tippers?
Yes, with drones and stuff like that, I think would be sensible and could be actually used in a way that would protect GDPR rights. But the problem is that this legislation actually provides for cameras to be put up on a permanent basis. So basically, what you would have is cameras permanently located, dotted around the county, filming everything, and on a permanent basis. Now they're saying the legislation says that it'll be on a 5-year renewable license, but in reality that means
what don't you like about that?
Well, I think there's something we have to be careful about. The fact, if you have a camera monitoring a hotspot for illegal dumping, it actually has to monitor out on the road, because it's by identifying the number of the car that you actually identify who the person is that is dumping. So that camera is going to be monitoring the road the whole time. So basically, anybody going around their normal business, going for a walk or going for a drive or anything like that there, is going to be filmed as well.
Yeah, but I mean, if you were, God forbid, you're walking down, say, Letterkenny Main Street, and I only say Letterkenny because it's got a CCTV system, and you were assaulted, you'd be more than happy for the Gardaí to be able to go and access that CCTV footage to convict anyone who'd be responsible for causing that harm to you, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would.
So
but I mean, so therefore we should have cameras on the 7,000 kilometres of roads everywhere in the county.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen. We'll be lucky if we get one. Because I'll be interviewing other public reps saying, well, where's the cameras in Donegal? The legislation's been passed.
Yeah, well, the problem is that camera will be put there permanently, the one camera that you're talking about, and it will be monitoring 24/7, 365 days a year for maybe a 5-minute event where somebody dumps rubbish illegally, and it's what is done with all the data that is collected that is the issue, and that's the problem. I think. So
if you get assurances that this data will only be used, in other words, if on Tuesday morning there's illegal dumping, and we can prove that it wasn't there on Sunday night, you'd be happy them to troll through. If you were assured they would only troll through Monday's CCTV footage to find out who was responsible, would you be more comfortable with that? Like, if it was tweaked, would that satisfy you?
I would be. That would be more reassuring, I think. All right, but the problem is then the camera is still recording all the time, and what is happening, that information that's been recorded, that's the real thing that we have to look at, Greg. And it becomes a more serious issue probably as time goes on as well, because we don't know how things are going to change in the next couple of years in terms of monitoring and stuff like that there, and that all this data is going to be there, and we may get to the point where you'd have somebody like Facebook selling you something on the basis of you've been passing this camera on the basis you won't even know, and that's so your data has been used all the time to process and to market back to you it sounds fantastical, but it's actually happened.
I'm not even going to challenge you on that one, because we just don't know where the data ends up or if it's sold on or how it's used. I get you. All right, interesting comments. As I say, I hear the bell tolling there, which means I think you're being summoned to the Dáil chamber or being reminded that it's happening. So we'll let you go. Thank you for your time this morning. I appreciate it.
Greg. Thank you.
All right, take care of yourself. That's Independent Deputy Thomas Pringle. Would you share the same concerns he has as it relates to CCTV being on all of the time in these areas? As I say, it happens already. If it stops or discourages people from illegally dumping, does the means justify the end? I don't know. What do you think, though? That's the important question. 086 60 25,000. Right, okay. Morning Ireland or Ukraine propaganda hour allowed Ukraine MPs uninterrupted to call for Ireland to supply them with weapons to fight the occupation. Can you imagine RTE allowing someone from the north to do something like that 30 years ago? I mean, that is... You have to be coming from a position there that believes that in some way what the Russians is doing is justified. I think, don't you? Because I think that the international consensus is that what is happening here is Russia has invaded this country and they've gone into the likes of Bucha and what have you and are just summarily executing civilians and whatever. So the only way you would challenge that Ukrainian MP that you reference, who's very militant, by the way, more so than any other MPs I've heard out of Ukraine, would be on the basis that you don't believe what's happening is happening, or unless I'm missing something from your comment there. Have people forgotten about the cervical screening scandal that Tony Holohan tries to hide from the public? Women are still dying, but he's being rewarded. It's often discussed when we discuss Tony Holohan. Can you wish... Well, I'll come back to that. So we request, and I just don't want to mix it up with more serious stuff. Morning, Greg. While I'm not a fan of Charlie McConalogue, I can't but feel a bit sorry for him. Firstly, agriculture and fisheries should be opposed for two separate ministers. Both of these sectors are on their knees, and then he's kind of expected to act as Minister for Housing as well regarding Micah. Far too much for one minister to deal with, just my opinion. Look, no one wants him to be a Minister for Housing for Micah. They just want to make sure that when you've got a local minister that they're batting for you as hard as they can, and I'm sure the minister would say he is. That's what elected politicians... What else would he do? Twiddle his thumbs in the Dáil? They're being very well rewarded. I take your point on Minister for Agriculture and Minister of the Fisheries. As it relates to the fisheries element of things, my understanding is that as it relates to what's happening in Killybegs, that's a legal thing, and for him to get involved in that, the analogy was mentioned to me, it would be akin to the Justice Minister getting involved in policing. Okay, so he has to be a little bit hands-off in relation to that story out of Killybegs. That's my understanding. Good morning. Quick question. Would you know of any reason why Alexa won't play Highland Radio for me anymore? It always did, but now it says can't find a station called Highland Radio. I'm not happy. Well, listen, I'm going to get you the solution for that. Did that happen recently, I wonder? There's another app that you install on Alexa, and then you can command it to play Highland Radio. I'm going to get you the answer to that, so please stay tuned. Just tried to book... It's Irish Radio Player, okay? So if you say to your Alexa to install Irish Radio Player, and then you command the speaker to say play... And then you have to enable Highland Radio. You have to enable Irish Radio Player. So install Irish, or enable it. You don't have to install it. It's a speaker. Enable Irish Radio Player. So say to Alexa, hello Alexa, or whatever you do. I don't have Alexa. Enable Irish Radio Player. And then you say play Highland Radio on Irish Radio Player. And away you go. Just tried to book my NCT. Next available date in Donegal, 2nd of August. What happens if I'm stopped by Gardaí? Well, that seems to be a grey area. If you book it and you have the email with you, you can, some people say that that's okay. Whether it's to the letter of the law, I'm not 100% sure. Went to look about getting my attic spray foamed at the weekend, thinking it was going to be 80% grant for it. It was announced by the government. Not the case. Does not come under the grant system. Okay. We will be back with our next guest after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Guess where we're going on holidays? Aloha!
Could be. Get your ticket from Highland Radio at highlandradio.com.
And if that's not enough, enter before Friday the 8th of April to also be in with a chance to win one of our bonus cash prizes of €1,000.
Are you thinking of making the switch to electric? Come visit us in iMotors, Donegal's SEAI EV Dealer of the Year 2022. We will answer any questions and help you make the switch. With our award-winning lineup of Kia EVs available now, come visit us at iMotors in Letterkenny and Malin.
Dáithí O'Shea here. On Thursday, May 5th, the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland is calling the nation back to tea. It's been 3 years since we've been able to gather together for a proper Tea Day get-together. So, let's make up for lost time and get the kettle on to support the 500,000 Irish families affected by dementia. Register now at teaday.ie.
For a great early season lawnmower deal, visit Gartley Sales and Hire. Exclusive stockists of Stiga in the Northwest. Mowers, trimmers and hedge trimmers. Full trade-in service available at Gartley Sales and Hire, Gartley, Letterkenny. Call 9126276.
Do you suffer from heartburn or abdominal pain? Do you experience frequent constipation or diarrhea? If you need or are waiting for an endoscopy consultation, then why not come see us at Kingsbridge Private Hospital Sligo, where we provide excellence in private healthcare. We are approved by all private health insurers and our specialised consultants are ready to see you. Avoid long journeys and longer waiting lists. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.ie for more information. Because life matters.
Are you ready? Yes, Chris. The question for £1 million is, what do Crawford Tiles do? Is it A, tiles, B, wooden flooring, C, bathroom suites, D, 5-day bathroom refits? All four. You've just won £1 million! Well, not really. After taxes, you lose a bunch of money, but hey, whatever. Crawford Tiles, Castlefin, 07491 43942.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday with the family? You can now fly to Barcelona 3 times weekly this summer with Ryanair and enjoy some of Europe's best family campsites. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okay, let's have the weather forecast for today. I think we know it's going to be turning cold, but let's see what they say. Wednesday will be a windy day with widespread heavy showers merging to longer spells of rain in places with the chance of hail and lightning. Westerly winds will increase strong to near gale force and gusty with some severe gusts, especially along the coast. Sunny spells too, though. Temperatures 8 to 10 degrees. Now, as we mentioned a little earlier on in the programme, 1 in 13 drivers are driving uninsured. David Fitzgerald is the Chief Executive of the Motor Insurance Bureau of Ireland. He joins us now. Good morning, David. Thanks for taking the call today.
Good morning. My pleasure.
Right. Okay. There's been an increase. Were you surprised by this? It's 175,000 uninsured vehicles on the road in 2021. That's really quite remarkable. How are we ascertaining that figure, by the way? Because we know it's not 175,000 people being caught without insurance.
No. So I suppose that your two questions there. So to answer both of them, that's an increase of 23,000 over the last 3 years. So 1 in 13 private vehicles now uninsured, and uninsured driving is against the law and it makes our roads less safe. So how we identify that is we contrast an analysis of the number of insured vehicles in the Republic of Ireland. Our members have built a database of insured vehicles, and then we compare that to the motor taxation database. So that avoids false positives. Say if there was a vehicle laid up on a farm or something, and
so
that's been driven anymore.
175,000 people have vehicles taxed, but they're not insured.
That's right.
Okay.
So it's an alarming figure. It's very high by European standards. And that's we've been working with the Gardaí and insurance industry on a new ANPR system, automated number plate recognition system, for a number of years to make it as easy as possible to identify uninsured drivers. So I suppose one of the things we're calling for, as well as releasing these figures for information, is that there's a bill we need that's working its way through the Oireachtas at committee stage, the Road Traffic and Roads Bill. So that'll enable us to pass the full functionality of this new software to the Gardaí. So how that will work is there's a camera in a lot of the road policing vehicles, and also in about 2,500 handheld devices that the Gardaí have as part of a mobility project, and they can use those cameras to automatically read the license plate of a vehicle, and then they'll be able to compare that to the database of insured and uninsured vehicles. So we think that has the potential to be a real game changer and reduce the level of uninsured driving in Ireland, which would be very high. Because, of course, particularly with the general rising costs, people are going to, and it was my initial emotional response was that people simply can't afford to insure. But enough people are still taxing the vehicle as well. So there has to be a level, and it probably is quite significant, of people that think it's something they can avoid doing and not get caught on really quite a big scale. So I suppose the message from ourselves and what the Gardaí they're starting to use in an initial phase of the project, and they're detecting 128 vehicles per day on an earlier version of the system on the initial phase. and the new enriched functionality that will make it even more powerful for them going forward is on the way. So I think people are being naive if they think they won't get caught down the line. And whilst we're a pro-victim organisation, we're not for profit, and what we do is we compensate the victims of accidents caused by uninsured drivers, and the costs are significant. It can be 60 to 70 million euros per year that we're paying out.
So that equates to about €35 per policy. Is that
it does?
The figure that was given?
That's right, because we're fully funded by the motor insurance industry, so they fund us. So, but ultimately that works its way back into the premium. So, I suppose everything we can do to reduce uninsured driving should also help the affordability of premium, because the 12 out of 13 motorists that are insuring their vehicles then are ultimately paying for the cost of these. So, we want to do everything we can to reduce the level and make it more likely people get caught. But if you are involved, it can be a false economy, because if you're involved in an accident, when we've paid the victim, we have the ability then to go after the uninsured driver. Now they're not always of means, but there can be judgment hanging over their home, and if they come to money later on, then that gets hoovered up by the uninsured driving fund.
And just in relation to the number plate recognition system, would that be solely for guarded vehicles and handheld devices, or is there scope for it to be extended to, I don't know, speed vans, motorway cameras, other sort of fixed CCTV?
Not initially, not in the first phase. So we're always mindful of data privacy and making sure we're compliant with the GDPR regulations. So in the first phase, the two bodies there's three bodies. There's ourselves with the right to the information, the Department of Transport, and An Garda Síochána, and part of what will be in that legislation is it'll put a suitable legal basis to pass on and enrich functionality to the Gardaí. So there's a lot more information about. At the moment, it's a simple database just with the.
But would you be interested in it being extended to the camera network that I referenced there?
So certainly wouldn't be against it. I suppose we should walk before we should run. So what we want to do is get the enhanced functionality to the Gardaí this year, have it up and running, and then when we're really satisfied that the Gardaí are leveraging it, and I know they're keen to get it. I certainly wouldn't be against that. So anything we can do to reduce uninsured driving will be very welcome. I do know that they do that in the UK and on certain cameras, but I suppose before you make any changes like that, you have to take a data privacy impact assessment and sort of supposed to balance civil liability, the people's right to privacy with that. But I'd be in favour of reducing uninsured driving.
Okay, then what about reducing the premiums then? Because you referenced the UK there. Their insurance it seems much cheaper over there. There is going to be people that simply feel they can't afford to it. We live in rural Ireland. We don't have alternatives. We don't have public transport. We're not often lucky enough to live next to work. What role then do insurance companies have then in making premiums more affordable so that everyone who wants insurance can afford to get it?
So that's a difficult question for me to answer, because it's not in my remit. So we have no role in underwriting or setting pricing. So I suppose our role is you
advocate on behalf of drivers, don't you?
So we advocate on behalf of the victims of accidents caused by uninsured drivers. So there's a cost for the MIBI that flows through into uninsured driving. So I suppose the levers we have under control.
I understand that, but I mean, if you can talk about calling on the guards to be able to be able to catch people driving uninsured, I'm surprised that you're not as comfortable talking about insurance companies. The cost of insurance being prohibitive to some.
It's there's certainly a factor between the level of uninsured driving and the cost of premiums. So there has to be some element of causality there. I'm not an expert on insurance pricing.
But your gut tells you there has to be something to it. Okay, I get you. I do understand. I understand the scope of which you can comment, and I appreciate you doing so with us this morning. Thank you very much indeed. That's David Fitzgerald, Chief Executive of the Motor Insurance Bureau of Ireland. By coincidence, but quite interesting, when we were talking to Thomas Pringle about how cameras installed to catch illegal dumpers might be used, how it could be expanded. Well, there you have it. You can see how very easily the camera network is expanded to do and cover different things. All right, back after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
You could run, you could dance, or you could just breathe. The Bernardo's Big Active, supported by Aldi, is happening in schools across Ireland right now, and it makes doing good feel great. It gets classmates of all ages active while supporting their mental health and well-being. The Bernardo's Big Active, supported by Aldi, will raise vital funds to help Ireland's most vulnerable children. Sign up today at thebigactive.ie.
Are you passionate about customer service? Then Concentrix wants to hear from you. Right now, Concentrix is recruiting work-at-home customer service advisors to join our growing global business in Donegal. If you're looking for an exciting opportunity where you can earn, learn and grow, apply today by searching Donegal at jobs.concentrix.com.
For confirmation and First Communion, see the great selection of suits, casual wear and footwear at Watson Menswear, Letterkenny. Top brands, including 1880 Club, Lyle & Scott, Farah and Diesel. Also Tommy Bow footwear, and all at great prices. Whatever the fit, whatever the style, confirmation and First Communions are covered for less at Watson Menswear. Open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny, and at watsonmenswear.com. Also, great end of sale bargains still available.
Hello there, this is Daniel O'Donnell here, and I'm delighted to be able to tell you that we're coming back to the Millennium Forum in Derry for a couple of concerts. We're going to be there on Wednesday, August 31st and Thursday, September 1st. Both these shows are going to be taped for American television, so I hope you can join us. See you then. That's the Millennium Forum, August 31st and September 1st.
A massive spring bed sale is now on at Grove Furnishings, your local easy living store. For 1 week only, there's extra discounts on all beds and mattresses. There's 20% off all Sealy beds, along with Cirrus, Nimbus and Stratus mattresses. And there's free delivery to Donegal, Derry and Tyrone. That's right now at Grove Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the Highland Radio News Desk. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will address a joint sitting of the Dáil and Seanad shortly. He's appearing by video link in front of a joint session of the Oireachtas to discuss the war in his country. A number of Ukrainian refugees will be in the chamber as guests of the Ukrainian ambassador. Over 65s and the immunocompromised are to be offered another COVID-19 vaccine. NIAC has issued new advice that people in those cohorts should receive a second booster jab. Health Minister Stephen Donnelly says the HSE will now work on the rollout of the latest dose for those who need it.
The main new advice is that a second mRNA booster for those aged 65 and older, and for the immunocompromised aged over 12, that a second booster should be offered 4 to 6 months after the first booster. So that's what we'll be working now with the HSE to put in place.
The introduction of 6 new regional health areas has been welcomed in the Northwest. Yesterday, government approved the creation of the regional health structure as part of a major reform of the health system, with decision-making devolved to each region. Pat Harvey is a former CEO of the Northwestern Health Board. He told today's 9 till noon show that while it's right that rules and policy be set nationally, that should not preclude local accountability.
I think the rules will always be set centrally, but that doesn't mean that the operation of services shouldn't be managed locally. If you go back to the health board days, I used to have to stand up as CEO once a month and account for my stewardship. I think that sort of formula serves the system in the Northwest very well. I could be asked anything about cancer services, waiting lists, queues in A&E, whether a place was clean enough in some day centre in the Northwest or whatever it may be. I think that local accountability is very valuable.
The latest tranche of local improvement scheme funding is nowhere near enough. That's according to local councillor Micheál Culla-McGill-Aspach. The department announced just over €716,000 in LIS funding yesterday for upgrade works on rural roads and laneways. It's the third highest allocation in the country. But councillor McGill-Aspach says Based on what's needed in Donegal, this is a drop in the ocean.
The government every year in turn gives us pennies, crumbs off a table. If you look at the local improvement scheme and the number of applicants that are there at the moment, there are something like 1,250 thereabouts, sitting at roughly around 30 million.
Orivo last year recorded a 16.7% increase in turnover. The agri-based company has assets all over the northwest, including former Donegal Creameries assets. The company's financial results for the year up to December 31st, 2021 recorded a total turnover of €570.3 million. Yet another boat has left Killybegs without landing its catch. Yesterday, a ship carrying 950 tonnes of fish turned away from the harbour in a similar manner to that experienced last week when a Danish vessel failed to land almost 1,300 tonnes of blue whiting due to landing rules set out by the SFPA, which insist on fish being weighed without water. Donegal Deputy Padraig McLaughlin says landing rules for the Killybegs fishing sector make no sense. He's due to raise the issue in the Dáil today. He says last week's incident met a serious loss of income for local businesses and their workers.
That vessel had to turn around because they were asked to weigh their fish without water. It's called dry weighing, and this would have turned what are fish for human consumption into basically fish meal. It makes no sense. The industry have worked on solutions for the Sea Fisheries Protection Authority, and those solutions have been rejected. The Minister needs to do something about this urgently, and the Taoiseach.
A fifth county has been added to a status yellow wind warning for this afternoon. Galway has joined Donegal, Leitrim, Mayo and Sligo. The wind warning will be in effect from 1 o'clock this afternoon until 9 o'clock this evening. Strong winds from the southwest are expected with strong coastal gusts. And looking at the weather forecast from Met Éireann this morning, it'll be windy with widespread heavy showers merging to longer spells of rain in places, a chance of some hail and lightning. Westerly winds increasing strong to near gale force and gusty with some severe gusts, especially along coasts. Some sunny spells. Highest temperatures 8 to 10 degrees Celsius. Tonight, further outbreaks of rain, feeling cold with moderate to fresh westerly winds. That'll make for an added wind chill factor in lowest temperatures of 1 to 4. And tomorrow, Thursday, we'll see a mix of sunny spells and scattered showers. A chance some of those will turn to hail or sleet on higher ground. Highest temperatures tomorrow of 7 to 9, brisk west to northwest winds. Again, that will give us an added wind chill factor. And that's Highland Radio News for now. We're back with news again at 11 o'clock. Until then, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notice is for this Wednesday morning, April the 6th. The death has taken place of Harold Harry Vance, 25 Clements Court, Waterside, and formerly of Convoy. Funeral service will be held in his home tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, interment afterwards in Ballyowen Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers if wished to the Friends of Altnagalvin, Ward 41, care of Mr Brian Moore, MD-EC, Altnagalvin Hospital. The death has occurred of Brendan Doherty, 1 Bonamain Bridge End, and formerly 22 The New Cottages, Burnfoot. His remains will be reposing at the residence of his daughter Mary Doherty, Chrislamore, Burnfoot, from 2 o'clock this afternoon. Removal on Friday morning at 10:15 to St Maur's Church, Vaughan, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Brendan's Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu to Surgical 1, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member or Murphy Funeral Directors. The death has occurred of Cathal Dugan, Mahershan Valley, Castlefin, County Donegal. Cathal will be reposing at his late residence, Mahershan Valley, Castlefin, today from 11 o'clock until 10 o'clock. Funeral from his late residence tomorrow morning at 10:20, going to St Mary's Church, Castlefin, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Highs private, please, on the morning of the funeral. Mass can be viewed on the Ernie Castlefin Facebook page. The death has taken place of Mary McLaughlin, Ballyheeney, Mallinhead. Her remains are reposing at her home. Funeral leaving there tomorrow morning at 10:30, going to the Star of the Sea Church, Mallinhead, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment afterwards in Lags Cemetery, Malin. House private, please, at the request of the deceased. The death has taken place of Jackie's Mandelbroid. His remains will leave Chauvelin's Funeral Home, Sandfield, this morning at 11:30, travelling to his daughter Dr Morelli Sweeney's residence in Crumlin Ardra, followed by private cremation. family home and funeral home are private to family only, please. The death has taken place of Frank Harkin, Crehennan, Quigley's Point. Remains reposing at the residence of his son Declan, Crehennan, Quigley's Point. Funeral leaving there tomorrow morning at 10:15, going to St Columbus Church, Drung, Quigley's Point, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. And the death has occurred of Neely Boyle, Paddy, Meanderna-Slow, Annagray. Funeral leaving his late residence this morning at 10:30 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in the Star of the Sea Church, Annagray, with burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. Funeral can be viewed live on the Star of the Sea Church Annagray webcam. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Easter mega deals now on at Curry's. Get the Sony Smart 4K TV now $749. Save €250 and save €100 on the 14-inch HP Chromebook now $289. We won't be beaten on price. Get in store or online at currys.ie. T's and C's apply. See website for details.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the second hour of the 9 till noon show. Good morning to all of you, including those of you watching us on social media. Hi, Michael, Annie, Anne, Audrey, another Anne, Kathleen, Beth, and Philomene, and also Mel. All of you, welcome along to the programme. If you want to watch the show, and you could have seen all of our guests so far this morning, get onto our website, highlandradio.com. That's the first port of call. You'll see a link, watch the 9 till noon show live. Click in there and you can watch it in your browser if you wish. Right, okay. We have our Wellness Wednesday coming up in the final hour of the programme today. That's going to be an interesting one for you, I do hope. And so much more in between now and then. Business news as well with Kieran O'Donnell coming up for you. Let's get to some of your comments. This caller says, I think the problem is it's cheaper to pay the fine than the insurance premium. We were talking just before 10 about 1 in 13 drivers, 175,000 driving without insurance. And the way they calculate that is 175,000 cars are taxed but not insured. All great getting people on to talk about no insurance. People can't afford this. Are these people living in the moon? I agreed. And I referenced that at least twice, maybe 3 times. But that wouldn't account for all of it, you see. There are people that are making some sort of a decision. But that being said, people are being forced to make decisions. This is my motor insurance. It's jumped a good 40%. I rang Allianz yesterday and they couldn't explain the jump, but were willing to lower it. All my details are the same. It's absolutely scandalous. At the start of the year, my insurance company that I was with tried to charge me a premium that was €150 more than it was. It was really quite high. It was around about 900, I think. And I rang them up. I got another quote, and it was $490. So that was a saving of €500, which was in my pocket, right? That was at the time what you would get for home heating oil. What I would buy in terms of home heating oil. So it was a fill, my fill of the tank. Wouldn't look at it now. But anyway, so I rang up the insurance company, and it might be the same company, and I said to them, look, I can get this quote. I've got this much. I can make this saving. Can you match it or look at it? And they weren't interested at all. They simply says, well, we can knock €80 off, which was how much it went up from 1 year to the next. So I was so happy to get rid of them and to go to this other insurance company. And I have set a reminder on my phone already. Next December, I'm going to do the exact same thing again. I am not even going to wait for the renewal letter. I'm going to price around and get myself cheaper insurance because for most of us, it can be done. So I saved in the end €400 or €500, I believe it was. It went from 9 till, I think it ended up being 550 or something for some reason. So it went from 950 to 550, I believe, something like that, just to make sure I have it right. So stuff them and stuff their renewal and price around and get some. I was one particular company that I did got quite. I can't really mention it, but I got a good quote with them, and then I advised someone else to go there, who had just returned from this country, by the way. Do you know that big problem where people have just returned from the country, no claims bonus, no driver history, even though they did have the driver history, but so much time had lapsed that it was irrelevant? Some insurance companies wouldn't even look at them. and they went to this other insurance company and got a quote for $1,100, which is quite a lot, don't get me wrong, but pretty reasonable on an older car with no driving history or no claims bonus. Which fair play to that company. Right, re Tony Houlihan, those on €187,000 per annum at the taxpayer's expense, and Trinity of all places, won't be worrying about the price of a bag of coal. How much more of this cronyism will the people put up with? Forever we will. We'll put up forever. That's a lot of, for us to pay, the taxpayer to pay €187,000, you almost have to pay or earn €350,000. So add up how many of us it would take to earn €350,000 per year, and all of that tax take. All right, so it could be 10 of us. All of that tax take, it could be 15 of us, depending on which sector you work. It could be 20 of us. But all of that tax take is used just to pay that one person's wages, and it would have been a secret if it hadn't come out. And no one's taking responsibility for it. But I'm not going to keep ranting about it. It's not my job, really. Central Bank has been warning about pay increases across the board to keep inflation at bay. So paying higher wages to the likes of Houlihan simply defies that logic. And the people's burden will only increase. It is our own government doing this. Therefore, they are not fit for purpose. But Stephen Donnelly said it was fantastic news, that it was brilliant news, that we should be happy. You should be happy that this decision was made by whomever it was made. It's a secret. Because it's really, really good. That was his argument. I hope some TD this morning asked the Ukrainian president, can he justify the 8-year onslaught on his own people in the Donbass region, resulting in 14,000 deaths? Just for the record, I wouldn't vote for Mr. Putin if given the chance. That was a war over a part of it. I presume both sides in the eastern Ukrainian situation would say it was justified. That's war, isn't it? The Ukrainian war is being used as an excuse in this country to push up prices. It's all that we are hearing about. There are other wars happening in the world that are not being talked about as much as the war in Yemen and also in Syria. Yeah, of course, that is... but to think... Like, I could understand people thinking maybe that a pandemic was being used to sort of push up stuff and to influence stuff. I can see the argument, and I can see where people are coming from, and you can argue the toss back and forwards about fatality rates and all that kind of stuff. And I don't agree with it necessarily, but I get it, right? But this is, thousands and thousands of people are being slaughtered. Cities are being wiped out in Ukraine. Whatever caused it, or for whatever reason, Russian invasion, of course, is the reason. But it's not being used as an excuse to push up prices. It's being excused. I think that the likes of oil companies and others certainly are exploiting it. And also, I still haven't got an answer to the question, and it's a genuine question as a consumer as to how so much of our electricity is generated by through green methods, windmills and all, wind turbines. Sorry, why a premium is applied to all electricity. I don't understand that fully. No one's explained that to me. There are companies. The last company I was with was 100% renewable energy. That's what I couldn't understand. I think it was SSI or SSE. They said, come with us because all of our electricity is renewable energy. Now, I'm not sure how that's possible because they're drawing off the same network as everyone else. But the premiums went up equally for customers of that electricity company, I presume. So how does that work? I think we deserve that to be explained to us. Should be more cameras in and around towns, etc. Too many assaults happening. Don't believe there's a difference if cameras are looking for illegal dumping or assaults on a Saturday night. I didn't quite get that concern from the deputy, but that's his view. Why don't we have a referendum on Irish neutrality and let the Irish people have their say and stop the politicians hiding behind our constitution? That would be an interesting one, but again, and I got shot down for saying this last week, around 40% of the population are either opposed to our neutrality or are uncertain about it. So if people feel a referendum in that regard would be a fait accompli, they'd be in for a shock. That would be very strongly contested, dependent on where you are in the country. It might affect people's points of view as well. In socio-economic terms, says this listener, public reps playing the urban-rural divide just serves to maintain the dysfunctional status quo. If someone has nothing to hide, what is the issue with CCTV? Surely if we are all law-abiding citizens, then there is no issue. Agreed, but, and this was the crux of the point, I think, what is that information being used for? Is it being used to catch uninsured drivers? Maybe you've no problem with that, but my point is did you know that going into it? Maybe Google do a deal with the government and they want to know what the traffic is like on certain sections of Ireland, and that information is shared or sold, would you be happy with that? Again, a lot of people wouldn't, but would you not want to go into that with your eyes wide open? Very last one before the bingo numbers. The Fianna Fáil Fine Gael Green government has given us Leakgate, Golfgate, Wolfgate, Zapone-gate and now Houlihan-gate. How many more scandal gates can the people endure? We often see how Highland works, trending. It's all about cronyism. OK, that's the view. We appreciate it. Keep them coming into us, 086 60 20 5000. We'll be back after the bingo numbers and a quick break.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday the 6th of April. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S8. It's game number 14. The numbers are 54, 67, 15, 57, 14, 74, 33, 55, 81, and finally 26. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
Fancy a Chinese takeaway?
Yeah, in Beijing.
Could be. Get your ticket from Highland Radio at highlandradio.com.
And if that's not enough, enter before Friday the 8th of April to also be in with a chance to win one of our bonus cash prizes of €1,000.
Is your current car ready for change? If so, now is a good time to visit DMG Motors Donegal Town. Choose from their Skoda range including the Fabia, Scala, Superb, Karoq, Kodiaq, Kamiq, Octavia and the all-new electric Enyaq. Now available for delivery. All fitted with the latest technology, Skoda Connect, with a whole new range of simply clever features. DMG Motors have made buying a new car affordable with finance available on all new vehicles. Test drive the new Skoda today. Call 9721396. Skoda, made for Donegal.
Whether it's a smart meter to better manage your energy, plugging into a greener type of fuel, or something bigger, with Bord Gosh Energy you can go your kind of green. Discover more at bordgoshenergy.ie. Bord Gosh Energy guarantees that 100% of the electricity supplied to you under green plans is sourced from renewable generation in accordance with the CRU Green Source Product Verification process. 10% green gas will be purchased in Europe from Guarantee of Origin certificates for green gas.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, we are now operating out of one new state-of-the-art showroom in Donegal Town. And we invite you to visit our new 5,000 square foot Donegal Town showroom to discover the latest eye-catching designs. Remember, at Cherrymore, you're dealing directly with a manufacturer, which means high-quality kitchens at factory prices. Start planning your dream kitchen or bedroom by calling Cherrymore on 074 9725 822. Cherrymore, 25 years delivering value, quality and service all over Ireland.
Okay, so we are literally turning, well, we aren't actually, the SFPA are turning away boats out of Killybegs laden with fish because they say that they can't be landed or they can't be weighed in water. The water has to be drained. If the water is drained, well, these fish can't be used for human consumption. So skippers are taking the decision to not land in Killybegs and go elsewhere. And I presume news in the fishing industry travels fast. So we know 2 boats have been turned away. But how many may choose not to even to come into Killybegs at all? And this, of course, is going to have a huge impact on workers because there's a lot of people employed to process these fish. The fish are being landed elsewhere. So inevitably, it's not going to be exaggerating to say that this is going to cost jobs and livelihoods just at a time when it's the last thing that we need. Brendan Byrne is CEO of the Irish Fish Processors and Exporters Association. Brendan, is that a reasonable enough assessment of the situation?
That's a very fair and accurate assessment of the situation. We're currently where 2 vessels that were docked in Killybegs left the port because of the conditions imposed on them were impractical. They couldn't comply with them without losing the quality of their catch. And not alone those 2, but we have 5 others that would ordinarily be in Killybegs this time of year. 2 actually were physically on their way to Killybegs and turned, and the other 3 just simply didn't bother seeking to come to Killybegs. So at this point in time, we have in excess of 4,000 tonnes of fish lost to Killybegs, and the situation is very volatile. I have spent the last weekend on constant contact with Norway and other fishing member states in order to try to stabilise the situation. But we're in a very precarious position because in reality we're all members of the EU. There's one common rule book there, but it's not been applied fairly or equally here in Ireland, and that is the kernel of the problem.
And I'm sure it costs more to steam back to the likes of Denmark laden than it would unladen, so they would prefer to land this fish closer to where it's caught, I'd imagine. Brendan, what is the situation here in that if this fish is for human consumption, is it within the rules for it to be weighed in water? Or is it not? Because from a conversation we had last week, it was almost like the SFPA are taking a particular interpretation of this. What is your understanding of the rules and regs?
Well, the rules and regulations that apply in any other EU coastal state permit for fish to be weighed accurately without destroying the quality of the fish. And if you were in Denmark, the same piece of equipment for weighing fish is there as you would find in Killybegs. And we have the equipment in Killybegs to do that, but we're not allowed to use it.
This is new scales that were put on the pier, is that correct?
That's correct, and industry built that weighing system at a cost of in excess of 550,000 euros.
Oh, okay.
Industry paid for that. A similar scenario was in Denmark. Industry paid for that. And we had to go to the High Court, and Justice Simmons directed the SFPA in order to give us the right to use it, because they were even refusing us the right to use it. And then you compare that to Denmark, where they got an automatic right to use it because it complied with the rules and regulations that are in place by the EU. So this is a farcical situation where we have the same rule book across the member states, but it's been interpreted totally different here in Ireland. And there isn't a level playing field. And as a consequence, industry is suffering very badly here. And last week we saw 112 workers being sent home. Yesterday, 54 were sent home. That's not counting those vessels that I said that didn't get to Killybegs or turned back from Killybegs. And one of the difficulties that we have, well, there's numerous difficulties we have in the fishing industry, but because of the reduced quota, and that was further aggravated by the loss of quota in Brexit, but the season where workers on vessels or in fish factories is getting shorter and shorter, and that's based on our failure to attract foreign vessels in to give us that extra amount of fish so that we can process it. And here we have a farcical situation, and it's allowed to continue, that we have opportunity to create employment for the seasonal workers that depend on this at a time of rampant inflation, and we simply can't get the fish that's caught in Irish water on ashore.
Is this a hangover from, or are we being punished for that EU audit which alleged manipulation of fish catch weights in Ireland? It seems different to me because I believe that was about not how the fish were weighed, but where they were weighed, be it on the pier or in the factories. But is this linked to that in some way, for right or wrong, Brendan? Is this...
Well, it's very important that you raise that issue of the 2018 audit. The 2018 audit actually was an audit on the functionality and the methodology used by the competent authority, the Sea Fisheries Protection Authority, in how they implement the various control measures that are in the rules and regulations of the CFP. That audit was not into industry, it was into how this authority functions. And at the same time, we had the PricewaterhouseCoopers report into the capabilities of the SFPA. They failed that, as they did fail the audit. In actual fact, PricewaterhouseCoopers said that they weren't fit for purpose, which was a damning indictment. Now, the government that came in afterwards chose to restructure the SFPA from internal an internal restructure, whereas industry, we're saying that there's a fundamental problem here that stems back to the 2006 Sea Fisheries and Maritime Act, and that a complete overhaul of the authority was required. They chose not to do that. I think what we're dealing with here is a dysfunctional authority that has management problems which were identified by the PricewaterhouseCoopers, plus a tendency anyway in Ireland to over-regulate.
Now, who's going to hold them to account, though? Because the Marine Minister, Charlie McConalogue, the obvious person, say, right, you sort this out. But he will argue, I'm sure, that this would be like expecting the Minister for Justice to sort of get involved with decisions the Gardaí make or how they enforce the laws. Do you buy that? And if you do, well, then who is going to intervene here? Because Killybegs is going to be crippled by this if someone doesn't.
Absolutely. And we're seeing the outworkings of a crisis in Killybegs as we speak, and thankfully Highland have covered it since day one. Do I accept the argument of the Minister? No, I don't. The Sea Fisheries Protection Authority was set up by an act of Oireachtas Éireann, by Dáil Éireann. It is accountable to the Minister, and it is accountable to Dáil Éireann. It is set up by that. And anything Dáil Éireann establishes, it can disestablish. And we have been kicking this can down the road since 2006. In 2011, the Wolf report said it wasn't fit for purpose. In 2017, the Moran report likewise. And 2020, we had PricewaterhouseCoopers. How many reports do we need to have into one authority before we take the initiative, reform it in a meaningful way that it is fit for purpose? Irish fishing industry are 100% for control and regulation. But we want the same control and regulation that's here that it would be in Denmark, Belgium, France or Spain. We're not looking for anything different. We're looking for fairness and equality, and that is something we have not got. When you have a vessel leave Killybegs
full of fish,
and it can go to any country.
Yeah, I mean, that's completely counterintuitive to leave Killybegs full of fish. I mean, who would have ever thought we'd be talking about that?
Yes, and it can go to any other EU country. The same rules apply, and it can offload and discharge its fish without any difficulty. And it's happening today as we speak. The vessel left Killybegs yesterday afternoon. I was there, and is now discharging fish at Lissahallie in Derry. Those fish will be transported by road back to Killybegs to the processor that was waiting for them yesterday, and they will be processed as today unfolds and tomorrow.
Did that require? Did the Danish ship? Did it also land in Letterkenny in Derry? I wonder.
No, they went back to another EU country.
Right. So like, was it through negotiation? Because obviously the fish is still going to be processed in Killybegs. I can't imagine that's sustainable into the future. Was it through negotiation that those fish were landed in Derry?
No, in actual fact, since this has started to unfold, thankfully there's so many other EU coastal states that see the plight and see the injustice that's been foisted on us. And I would have routinely calls from the other coastal states saying, look, send your fish to us, we'll process them for you. We feel for you because, look, we're all in this together.
How does that benefit the Killybegs economy?
It doesn't really.
Right, okay.
This is what we're, at the end of the day, these other coastal states, they're competitors of ours.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, obviously that's what they're saying publicly, but
yes,
you would be rubbing your hands with delight because that's 60 odd workers with more work to do in another coastal state.
As a right, Killybegs has a right to function as a port. It has done so for 600 years. It has done so under British rule and since independence. And here we have a crazy situation that politicians, as far as I can see, are choosing to ignore, hoping
they're
that it's going away.
distancing themselves, saying
worse.
this is an FPA problem, which I don't think really represents those they represent very well. But listen, let me ask you just two more short questions. Can we quantify the cost of this? Because, we know of the ships that turned away. We know that the fish still ended up in one ship being processed in Killybegs, and one steamed off, another 5 maybe didn't come in at all. Then the industry's not going to ban. They're just going to make alternative plans. We're not going to be doing this every single day. I don't know how long the season for blue whiting lasts, but can we calculate the cost this year, and of course subsequent years? This will be completely lost, presumably, to Killybegs if this isn't resolved.
Well, there's a few metrics of how we calculate it. I would calculate at this point that a third of the blue whiting supply has been deprived of Killybegs, 1/3. So that's replicated into 1/3 of days lost in the processing sector. 1/3 of our future markets are gone, and our present markets are gone. We can't plan for new markets. So that we sustained a 25% hit because of Brexit TCA, and that was unmerciful and it was unjust. But this is a 30% hit in this sector, self-inflicted, I might add, and at a point in time when no political leadership is coming forward to solve it, because there are alternatives and there are solutions available there.
So we have the state shooting the fishermen in the foot, really, effectively.
Well, we're constrained. If you, as a processor, purchase a large quantity, 900 tonne or 1,200 tonne, of human consumption blue whiting on the open market, and we have to compete with other competitors in order to win this on a tender bid around the EU, you're paying for that. You can't do anything other than process it. You have markets that are waiting, customers that are waiting in West Africa or Ukraine or wherever else we're exporting it to. You know, we are constrained. We have a staff that depend on it. These workers are on a part-time basis, reduced season. They work with these factories each year in, year out. Some of them are there for 35 years. It's not their fault. It's not the processor's fault.
Right.
It's not even Europe's fault. It is self-inflicted.
Yeah. It's an internal situation. May I ask, do you know off the top of your head, because when I was curious about this since the last interview we did on this, what is this converted to for human consumption? Is it tinned? Is it?
It can be anything from fish fingers to fillets.
Okay.
It's a very tasty fish. The only difficulty with blue whiting particularly is once it hits the air temperature or is taken out of its envelope of water, unless it's in a processing system, the quality deteriorates rapidly. It's the most deteriorating fish in a short time.
It succumbs to its own weight, presumably.
Yes, and it's soft fish, but it is a very nutritious fish.
Okay, right. My last question, actually, I wanted to ask you, where does this end? Okay, because there's a lot of people that are going to be very motivated to say, right, enough is enough. Maybe someone might try and land this fish and see what happens next, or what? How does this? If the minister is, and we haven't actually had a chance to interview him as such, but as I suspect he might feel he can't interfere in this, under the analogy I gave earlier on, where does this end? You know what I mean? I presume the industry is just not going to roll over and take it, but what tests it, or what happens next, in your view?
In my view, it ends where it starts. It started with the 2006 Sea Fisheries and Jurisdiction Act. That has to be repealed. There has to be meaningful and substantive restructuring of the SFPA. There may well need to be...
yes, but we're calling for that. What I'm saying is, what leads us to that point? What action might be taken to get us to that point?
Has to come from the initiative of the department and the minister. Failing that...
Yeah, but if they're distancing themselves from it, let's say they are, I don't know, what pressures them to change that stance? Do you understand? There has to be action. I don't think this is going to happen voluntarily.
Well, it has to happen, because otherwise we're going to lose an entire industry that is a noble tradition in this country as a maritime nation. And it's not rocket science. We're not creating something that hasn't been created. The Danish, for example, when they were in a similar situation 7 years ago, and they were in an identical situation to us 7 years ago, at a stroke of a pen, the then Minister for Marine in Denmark sacked the entire control authority for incompetence.
All right, listen, thanks for your time. I appreciate it this morning. We'll stay in touch. All right, take care of yourself. That is Brendan Byrne there, CEO of the Irish Fish Processors and Expert Association. Obviously, if you're from within the industry directly affected by that, we'd be very keen to speak to you as well. Right, it's 10:36. Let's take a piece of music. If you're watching us on social media, we will have to mute for the next 3 minutes. But for the majority of you listening on air, here is or are Blur. Okay, we're going to play that as a special birthday request for a good friend, Seamus Hegarty Ramelton. Hope you have a good one. That comes in from the Hillman. And we'll also dedicate it to St. Eunan's under-19 football team. We wish you the very best of luck in your All-Ireland final today in Athlone. Thank you. Coming in from Brian and Lisa Gallagher, Molly, Neve and Connor, and a big happy birthday or whatever it is that you're celebrating today. We'll dedicate that one to you as well. Rightio. We'll be back with more on this episode of the 9 till noon show after these messages.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
Let's call out his name. Mike Denver in concert with guests Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine at the Millennium Forum Derry on Saturday, April 23rd. Tickets at the theatre box office. That's Mike Denver in concert at the Millennium Forum with Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine on Saturday, April 23rd.
Kelly's Diner in Letterkenny now has even longer opening hours. Try Kelly's Early Bird Breakfast, one of their great lunch specials, or a renowned Jake's Burger. Kelly's famous steak specials are available every Saturday from 3, with an 8-ounce succulent steak and all the trimmings for just €11. New extended opening hours now in Kelly's award-winning diner at Mountaintop Letterkenny. Check out Facebook for details.
Forward Emphasis International, based in Mallinhead, are actively recruiting for customer service advisors with both permanent remote working and hybrid opportunities available. Experience in contact centres or insurance services is desirable but not essential, as full training is provided. Fully funded financial services qualifications delivering attractive career path opportunities are available. Please visit their website www.forwardemphasis.ie or apply via their careers page.
On the farm, if you need some machinery parts, contact Tinney's Agri Spares in Letterkenny. Specialists in parts for Sammy, Lamborghini, John Deere and Zetter. Also stocking a full range of service and wearing parts for Kuhn balers and mowers. And a full range of agricultural lubricants at unbeatable prices. On the farm, get it sorted at Tinney's Agri Spares, Leck Road, Letterkenny. Call 91 22374.
Hello there, this is Daniel O'Donnell here, and I'm delighted to be able to tell you that we're coming back to the Millennium Forum in Derry for a couple of concerts. We're going to be there on Wednesday, August 31st and Thursday, September 1st. Both these shows are going to be taped for American television, so I hope you can join us. See you then. That's the Millennium Forum, August 31st and September 1st.
Now, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. We welcome onto it now Gina Grant, a Piro of Donegal Down syndrome. Good morning to you, Gina. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm good. Thanks for asking me on.
Oh, no, it's our pleasure. Right, now, you've described it as brilliant news in relation to the applications for wardship. Can you explain, well, this is in the context, isn't it, of the Assisted Decision Making Capacity Act. So what is the good news here, Gina?
The good news is that the High Court have said that the last application in for wardship is to be the 22nd of April of this year, which means there'll be no more ward of court after that, and that those, whenever the implementation of the decision-making bill, which is hoping to be on board in late June, all those that are currently in wardship will all be assessed and will all be put onto the assisted decision-making bill capacity.
Right, so this means that there's a bit more flexibility, a bit more understanding then, does it? Or in your words, Gina, what are the positives here? In real, in real life, how it might affect people?
The positives for me as a parent and the positives for the association is that all those out there who have an intellectual disability are deemed by law at the minute as incapacitated and unable to make decisions for themselves. So at the current legislation, without any change, would mean everybody by law with an intellectual disability, once they turn 18, should legally become ward of court, because there is no legal standing for any family member or any parent to help that person make a decision. So legally, they should become ward of court. I think there's about 3,000 or 4,000 people with intellectual disabilities at present wards of court.
And how does that affect, or can it affect their lives, Gina? as adults?
As adults, it would mean that they effectively have to go to court for every decision that they would like to make.
Like what kind of decisions?
Medical decisions, travel decisions. They can't hold their own finances. They can't be legally given any property by law at the minute. Families can't leave the same inheritance to a person with Down syndrome as they can to their typically developing child. Everything that they own, possess, and every decision they would make would have to go through the court.
Mm. Now, this doesn't mean that's kind of done away with altogether. Presumably, there will be an assessment on an individual case basis. Is that correct?
There's going to be 3 different forms of decision-making supports options for those out there. Now, it's not only for those with intellectual disabilities. It'd be those with acquired brain injuries, progressive diseases, which would, cause them to maybe be incapacitated to make an informed decision without assistance. So we're going to have the assistant decision-making, and that's where a person can appoint an assistant. Like, it could be a person of their family, it could be their best friend, it could be a carer if they're in residential care that they trust, where that person would assist the translation of whatever decision. Maybe if the person couldn't understand it, they can make sure that they have all the information that they would need to make a decision and going forward. So they could have a decision-making translator, as it were, where they would just assist the person to make a decision.
Yeah, and that has to be robust in itself as well, because we wouldn't want a situation where people could be exploited or taken advantage of either.
100%. So then we've got a co-decision making where a person can be appointed, that again can be a family member, that can be somebody where they will make a decision in cooperation with the person who is deemed to have a lower capacity.
And now say you were someone wanted to appoint you in that position, but I had genuine concerns. I wanted to dispute that. I would also have equal care for this person or have interest in their well-being. How would I sort of challenge that?
There is going to be, it's not up at the minute, but there is going to be a decision support service website. So every aspect of the decision-making supports are going to be with the supervision and with the collaboration of a director from the DSS. So they are going to be the ones to assist people into the legal and proper route that they should be going down. So nobody is going to be taken advantage of, or nobody is going to say, well, this person can make a decision where maybe they can't, and where abuses can be formed, as we know. So the Decision Support Services, the DSS, have a website. It's not operational yet because it's not coming in force until mid-June. But everybody then that is going through the decision-making bill will be doing it with the representative and the supports from the DSS. So they're not going to be on their own. But we've also got decision-making representatives. Now this in plain, like I have 2 younger children with disabilities. Francis will never be able to formally communicate. He has no communication or no capacity. So he will need somebody that will be making decisions on his behalf, where Christopher, who has Down syndrome, is fully capable of making decisions, be them right or wrong.
Yes.
But he is fully capable of making his decisions. So this, as a parent, these choices are brilliant for them because they're individual now. They have their rights as a person.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, we've talked about, and I've sort of asked you questions about the practical implications of this. How important is this, though, in recognising people as individuals? As capable individuals, where that's where that's applicable. I mean, for the state to be recognise these people, as I've just outlined, that's significant, isn't it?
It's massive. It's like, not only from the association's point of view, but from a parental point of view, you're actually giving value back to the people, giving them their human rights that they can actually enforce. Everything then, if there is a dispute, everything then still would have to go through civil courts. But again, they're taking their human rights back into their own purse and being able to use it. And it's not a one-fits-all in the disability world, because right now, until these changes happen, both my children are under the Lunacy Regulation Act, which is, and both of them have the same, by law, they're just fitted in the same box.
Yeah, but they are individuals and have
everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, so this is massive for human rights, and this is massive for those who would be put under that old Act of 1871.
Because reading it feels actually even uncomfortable reading that Act. you know, to the Lunacy Regulation Ireland Act. Now, I know it's in 1871, but it's only now from the 22nd of April 2022 that it's no longer, you know, active. I mean, you know what I mean? That goes to show really how hard it is to get change.
Like, we had a marriage referendum here in the country, and everybody, you know, voted, and everybody was seen as an individual with a right to love and a right to relationships. Yeah. But that doesn't follow through for those with intellectual disabilities. If a person is homosexual and has an intellectual disability, by law currently standing, if they act on that impulse and go on their desires, that they can be jailed for 11 years.
And will things like that be done away with at the same time?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yes, if somebody decides to go into a relationship and get married, if somebody decides that they want to buy a property, they will have the facility and the assistance to do that, where they're going to say, yes, this person has capacity, they know full well what they're doing, they can make this decision. You know, whether you agree with it or not is irrelevant. It's whether that person has the understanding of the decision they're making right
and
now.
Under what do we know at this point, under what branch of the HSE or the state this will fall under? You know, because obviously people will see in other areas where things are controlled, there's flaws, there's exploitation, there's holes, there's a lack of accountability. Like, do we know what is it the HSE or the courts that take control of this?
It's still going to be under the courts. It's still going to be like in decisions of life and death or sustaining life, or if there is a dispute in that, it would still have to go to the High Court. It would still have to go to civil court if there is an issue arising, you know, under the legislation. But, you know, as of everything, I'm unsure where the DSS is under. If that's, you know, it probably will be linked to the HSE if it comes in with disability services, and if it's residential care. But at the minute, it's going to be the role of the courts are still going to be there if a dispute or if a misunderstanding has happened.
Listen, it's not often we get to post on social media with the first two words of great news, so we'll take it when we can get it, Gina.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Listen, thanks for your time this morning. Appreciate it, and explaining it to the point that I can understand, which is good. Okay, thanks, Gina.
Thank you.
Take care. Gina Grant there, who is PRO of Donegal Down Syndrome. Your reaction to that, 086 60 25,000. The caller says, the Russian invasion of Ukraine is not the cause of the war. The aggressive attempts of the US and the Western powers to get Ukraine to join NATO and the EU and control its vast natural resources is the reason for this horrific conflict. I can't agree with you there at all. I have stated myself that we, you know, whether now's the time or down the line, we need to talk about the likes of what the US were doing, what NATO were doing, that pushed us to this point. There's only one person responsible for the war, though. That's Vladimir Putin. That he thought that what he wanted to achieve could not be achieved without going in and doing what he's doing. Do you know what I mean? There's cause and effect, isn't there? So I understand where you're coming from, but to say that what's happening now is anyone else's fault than Russia. I mean, Russia made that decision, and you listen to the views of some Russian people, what they think of Ukraine and the derogatory words that they have for Ukraine, and the fact that they don't want to just stop here. They want to continue to reassemble the historic control of Russia. There's two different things there. I think we need to discuss and understand precisely what the likes of the US, the UK, Europe, and NATO have been doing over the last 15, 20 years. But I don't think the reaction to that action is justified as it is in that text, to be honest with you. Greg, did you find out when the doctors and nurses are going to get the €1,000 promised by the government? I think it's in the summer. They says they can't pay it until the summer. Now, whether they can't for whatever reason, whether it's a cash flow issue, I don't know, but it's going to be the summer before that is paid. Right, okay. Let us take a break. And we'll be right back afterwards. By the way, we're going to be focusing on a new mental health campaign in our Wellness Wednesday. And I've said this before in this program, I've said it for years, whereby, you know, we have a tendency, when I say we, some of you don't, some of us do. I've probably been in that category where we say to someone, how are you? Right? And it's a greeting. It's not a question. We're not saying, how are you? How do you feel? It's a rhetorical question. It's like, how are you? Good day. You know what I mean? It's not meant in the true meaning of the words. And this new campaign, I believe, kind of my feel for it, the thrust of it is that we ask that question, but we actually listen. We ask and pause and a way to respond. If someone has something to say, they leave them in a comfortable space to be able to say it, because we know the importance of talking. We've talked about that regularly on this programme as well. Betty Holmes, good to have you with us, Betty. She says, great news, Gina. I think we can all agree. I don't know enough about it, but people like Gina and others who advocate, when Gina says it's great news, that means it's great news.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
The Sky Spring Sale is here. Get Sky Q with the TV you love all in one place. And super reliable Sky broadband so you can always stay connected. Plus, choose from Sky Sports or Sky Cinema. All for just €60 a month for 12 months. Don't miss this amazing offer. Just search Sky Spring Sale. Availability subject to location. New Sky customers only. Minimum term and further terms apply. For more information, see sky.ie/speeds.
This Easter, why not try Tesco Finest 4-pack of hot cross buns for €1.50. Choose from salted caramel and chocolate, apple and cinnamon, or extra fruity. Oh yes, we know how to butter you up. And with 3 for €3 across our medium egg range, including Smarties milk chocolate eggs. And 33% off over 200 selected wines, like Campo Viejo Rioja Reserva 75cl. It's set to be a very happy Easter. Easter at Tesco. It's yours for the making. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Hi, Raymond Sweeney here. If your vacuum cleaner has seen better days, call into us at Ben Sweeney Euronics for a look at the new Samsung Turbo Cordless Stickback. This lightweight, easy to control vacuum cleaner picks up fine dust on carpets and on hard floors. With a 40-minute battery life and a massive 150 watts of suction power, it is now available for €299. Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, and the shopping centre, Dunlow.
Ben Sweeney Euronics. We deliver, we install, we care.
The Villa Rose Hotel, Ballybuffet and Anchorage Gidor present the Dublin City Ramblers Easter weekend, April 16th and 17th. The Villa Rose will also host Mac Fleetwood, the ultimate Fleetwood Mac tribute band, on April 23rd. All tickets €20 each. Telephone or see hotel websites for full details.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Enjoy stress-free travel this summer with Ryanair's brand new services to Birmingham, Edinburgh and Manchester. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okay, let's run through that weather forecast for you again as soon as I get it up here. Every time I have it open, I close it and then go looking for it again. Okay, so the weather forecast for today is as follows. It's not a very pretty day. It's not a great picture. Wednesday will be a windy day with widespread heavy showers merging to longer spells of rain in places with the chance of hail and lightning. Westerly winds will increase strong to near gale force and gusty with some severe gusts, especially along coast. Some sunny spells too, though highest temperatures of 8 to 10 degrees. Now further outbreaks of rain tonight, feeling very cold with moderate to fresh westerly winds making for an added wind chill factor. Temperatures overnight of 1 to 4 degrees. Quick break just to catch up. Back after these with the news.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Sportswear for men at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Under Armour training, quarter zips, tech tees with classic training shorts in different lengths. Nike running range with quarter zips. Nike Pro t-shirts match with a classic 5-inch Nike running shorts. Adidas Tiro 21 range in new seasonal colours will have you looking healthy and fit. Look the part, play the part. In store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
With Donegal's largest selection of pre-owned vehicles, at iMotors we are confident we have your next car. All of our cars come with a 12-month warranty. Come visit our showrooms in Letterkenny or Malin. We have also now extended our opening hours on Saturdays at our Letterkenny showroom from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Since she got her free hearing aids with her PRSI at Specsavers, Roisin is a changed woman. Music has never sounded better, and that makes her dance. And dance. And dance. Her singing, though, well...
Free hearing aids with PRSI at Specsavers. Music to your ears. Find out more online. Terms and conditions apply.
Uncover Belfast this Easter and embrace a giant city experience guaranteed to surprise. Find a city alive with culture and entertainment, from festivals and live music to world-class attractions and everything in between. With great hotel deals, come for the day and stay for the night. So come on in, Uncover Belfast today. Find out more at visitbelfast.com.
We'll feel alive out in Belfast City, alright.
Is your water safe to drink? If your water tastes unpleasant or has a foul smell, it may be a sign that something is in your water. Brothers Tech Donegal provide a complete private well water treatment service using the best water treatment equipment to meet your needs. Or maybe you drilled a new well and the water isn't satisfactory. At Brothers Tech, their expert team will also service existing problematic systems. If you're concerned about the quality of your water, call Brothers Tech on 087 638 7057.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock. It's time for a news update, and it's over. And good morning to Michaela Clark. Good morning, Michaela.
Thanks, Craig. Good morning. The Ukrainian president has praised Irish support for his country, thanking people here for not staying neutral in the face of the war. Addressing a joint sitting of the Oireachtas, Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia doesn't deserve to be in the circle of civilised countries. He asked the Irish government to go beyond its support to date to push for EU membership for Ukraine and asked Ireland to go further with sanctions against Russia. Another COVID vaccine rollout will be getting underway soon. Health Minister Stephen Donnelly has accepted new advice from NIAC that over 65s and those who are immunocompromised be offered another booster jab. The introduction of 6 new regional health areas has been welcomed for the North West. Yesterday, government approved the creation of the regional health structure as part of a major reform of the health system, with decision-making devolved to each region. Pat Harvey is a former CEO of the North Western Health Board. He told today's 9 till noon show that while it's right that rules and policy be set nationally, that should preclude local accountability. 4 masked men forced their way into a house in Castlederg yesterday evening before making off with the occupant's car. Shortly after 6 p.m, the men carrying weapons forced entry to a house in the Drumna Bay Park area. Detective Sergeant Gilbreth says the men chased the occupant of the property, who was at home at the time, and gained access to their vehicle, a white Volkswagen Tiguan, which one of the intruders subsequently made off in. Yet another boat has left Killybegs without landing its catch. Yesterday, a ship carrying 950 tonne of fish turned away from the harbour in a similar manner to that experienced last week when a Danish vessel failed to land almost 1,300 tonne of blue whiting due to landing rules set out by the SFPA, which insists on fish being weighed without water. And the latest tranche of local improvement scheme funding is nowhere near enough of what is needed for Donegal. That's according to Councillor Micheál Colmagill Asbug. The department announced just over €716,000 in LIS funding yesterday for upgrade works on rural roads and laneways in Donegal. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Okay, Michaela, thank you very much indeed.
Easter mega deals now on at Curry's. Get the Sony Smart 4K TV now $749. Save €250 and save €100 on the 14-inch HP Chromebook now $289. We won't be beaten on price. Get in store or online at currys.ie. T's and C's apply. See website for details.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. It's time for Wellness Wednesday, and on today's programme we are talking about mental health and a new campaign with Mental Health Ireland called Hello, How Are You?, which takes place this Thursday, the 7th of April. In studio, we're joined by Brendan Vaughan from Mental Health Ireland. Good morning, Brendan.
Bill, Greg, just...
Bill
Vaughan.
Okay, sorry. If anything's written in front of me, I'll just read it out. My bad.
I understand.
All right, Bill, my apologies. Sinead Black, I'm pretty confident you're Sinead. Hi, Sinead. Thank you for calling. It's good to see you in again. And last but not least, Adam O'Mahony. Is that correct?
O'Flaherty.
O'Flaherty, okay. We're having a nightmare so far. You're the Student Union President at the Atlantic Technological University. You're coming to the end of your tenure, are you?
I am indeed, yeah.
All right. How's the year been for you?
It's been challenging at times, but otherwise not too bad. It's just kind of work as usual, I guess. Kind of coming out of the COVID situation was a bit
challenging.
Tough, but
yeah, okay,
exactly.
for sure. Right, Bill, we'll start with you if that's all right. So tell us about this campaign, Hello, How Are You? Because as I was saying just before 11, we say it all the time, but often we say it in a, it's a rhetorical way, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, exactly. And where this campaign then, it takes that and it kind of asks us all to kind of really mean that question and maybe take a bit of time to find out how we're all doing, in conversation. So over a cup of coffee, over a walk, we're encouraging everyone in Ireland to take some time tomorrow to have a meaningful conversation in how the other person's doing.
Yeah.
And it's a campaign. It started here in Ireland, down in Carlow in 2015, and the feedback from that campaign was very positive. There were some great outcomes, including kind of promoting wellness and mental health, giving people more confidence about talking around the inner side of mental health, I would say, what's going on in themselves, also increasing signposting, and more people were tended to do something about any kind of mental health issues they had from openly talking, with people as part of the campaign.
Yeah, and there's a challenge there too for the person asking the question as well, isn't there? Because you have to know, how to ask the question. What do you say? Maybe overcome some uncomfortableness you might have in terms of someone opening up to you. Not everyone. In fact, I would say maybe not even the majority of people are sort of prepared for that.
Exactly. And we have the people can register events. We have actually over 300 events around Ireland over the tomorrow. Some maybe they can't do it on the day, but most are tomorrow. We have the Wellness Cafes in Donegal, which was a great initiative that Sharon Ferguson kind of initiated.
They're expanding, aren't they?
They're expanding, yeah. We're training up more facilitators in new cafes in the south of the county as well now. Brilliant idea. We had a big event promoting the campaign out in the new ATU yesterday. We had the president of the new ATU who was up on the day, and it was great to tell her about the initiative as well. We have Woodlands for Health walks going on. We have 2 in Donegal tomorrow, so they always kind of have a social cup of tea or coffee after. So they've registered for the campaign as well. Family resource centres have there's been a great response, and it's such a kind of user-friendly campaign to get involved in as well. But like you say, it's asking the question can be
well,
quite challenging.
We're asking people to do it, but sometimes people actually go out of the way to avoid doing so.
Yes, we're afraid of the answers that may come back, and we do have conversation cards, which kind of like a guideline.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not. It's a card. It's a few guidelines. It's not. Yeah. Sinead, as a mental health ambassador, I mean, you would have an understanding of what we're talking about here.
Yeah,
obviously.
I'm sitting here listening, very passionate. I suppose I've came from both ends. Like I struggled very much so with mental health.
Just before you go on, I don't want to interrupt though, Sinead. Did people sort of go, well, what, how could you struggle with your mental health? You're young, you're successful.
I was 21.
You're happy out. Do you know what I mean?
Successful. Everything was brilliant. Exterior was perfect. Even myself, to ask the question, how actually am I, was quite difficult and quite difficult to accept. And for people, so I would say, when someone does ask you, how are you, I would nearly say, but how really are you?
Yeah, but you must have got the, what have you to be upset about? You should cop yourself on. There are people much worse off than you. There's people that give their right arm to be. You must have had all those, which is literally the opposite of what we're talking about here. But you must have heard all that. Well intentioned, but just wrong.
I would encourage people tomorrow and every day, but especially tomorrow, when you do choose a few people to check in, hello, how are you? Don't be judgmental. Like, people would, as you have just said to me, sure, what would you have to worry about? I've heard it often, young people and old, like, sure, they're very successful, they're married, they're established, they're young, they're, to just not judge and just maybe check in on everyone, or don't judge who you would check in and ask, hello, how are you?
Yeah, all right. So how do you have the conversation then? You were talking about is it to pause and let them answer the question? Because it's a greeting, you see. We say it's a greeting.
It's been me and Bill's joke. He's been ringing me. I'll say, hello, how are you? I came in, hello, how are you? It's a joke. You said it there when we came in. But really ask it and mean it.
So go beyond the greeting, because there's nothing wrong, by the way. There's nothing wrong with saying, hello, how are you? That's how we greet each other, okay?
I walk past
what this campaign is,
hello, how are you?
Yeah,
and walk
exactly.
on.
But what this campaign is to ask it, but in a different way.
Yeah, ask it with meaning and let the person know that, and then maybe give them time to think in their head, how actually am I? And I think just one other thing that I would say is, as a community and as a nation or Ireland or, whatever way you want to say it, to take responsibility, and especially tomorrow through this campaign to options. It says there, take time to talk through options, but you've just said yourself, what do we answer back? Take time and take responsibility to maybe find out services that we have, find out services in your own area, or, because it's very hard to know if someone turns around and tells you they're struggling. It would be lovely, and I think we all should have a responsibility to find out options and services and tools and things. So maybe just take time to do that as well.
And not just do it Thursday. I think part of it is also to if you feel that you can offer support for them into the future, that it's not just a one hit deal. Adam, are you coming at this more from the younger person side of things? I'm pretty young myself, by the way. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm pretty young, well lived in, but young. No, but all jokes aside, Adam, what do you think from the ATU, the Atlantic Technological University? There's different challenges for different age groups, but there's a similarity across the board too, of course.
Over recent years, it's less so, but there is still very much a stigma. It's a stigma around kind of mental health. Where, don't get me wrong, people are getting better at asking and kind of being like, oh, how are you? And meaning it, but they forget to do it themselves, to be able to share and open up and be able to kind of get their own feelings across. It's all well and good asking someone else how they are, but you also have to kind of look inner, look inside and try to get that out.
And that's tough because we do put up our own barriers. Do you know what I mean? To hide from the fact that what we know there's something wrong, but you put up your own blockers to sort of stop it. Almost like your mind tries to stop you getting better.
So it seems to be a very Irish thing as well. So you don't want to bother someone, or you don't want to burden someone with your emotional dump. You know what I mean? But at the same time, they're genuinely asking. Your friends and family are looking to know. And
I think it's quite interesting what you say there about because I think in schools and universities more so than anywhere over the last while, it is a space whereby there are supports there. There's an understanding there, I think, amongst most young people, and they would be there for each other. So it is interesting, I think, and you're spot on to say that if you don't feel in a great space with mental health, particularly if you're young, say it, have the conversation, talk about it.
That's exactly what tomorrow is for. Between 10:30 and 12:30, we're going to be running across all the campuses in the ATU, a wellness cafe. It's going to be running across, and we're hoping to get as many students involved as possible. That way they can get out and fully just actually talk about things, and you never know, you might learn something about yourself, not just about others.
Yeah, Bill, and that's the wellness cafes are simple, and the most successful things are simple. It's because it's a place, a comfortable place where people can converse, and there are supports there, there's signposting there, and it's just a case of sort of widening that out even further, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was thinking there when listening to Adam, I will go around and do workshops around mental health, positive mental health and that, and the majority of people that come are women. I was out doing a workshop in Lifford yesterday evening, about 7 o'clock. There were 10 people, and it was all mothers. It was of a national school, and we were kind of joking. At the same time, I was saying, "Where are all the men?" And that kind of inner world that Adam was talking about that we all have, men in particular, find that difficult to kind of engage and share with. And that's a key part of mental health. You have the public side of mental health, which is knowing that sleep helps, exercise helps, stuff like that. But to a degree, we all have a degree of difficulty in sharing the inner world, what's going on with us. And that's fine if that's going on.
Well, what do you say to someone listening? Because I'd be really conscious of these conversations. I think they're very helpful, right? But you could have someone who's not in a very good place at the moment, and they're listening to your words, your incredibly well-intended and well-chosen words, right? But they feel they're so far away from taking that step that their situation, that they feel our conversation can make them feel worse. So that I'm not even in that place yet where I can take those first steps or have that first conversation. So what's the point?
Yeah.
There's no hope for me. What would you say to those? But there's hope for everyone, of course. Yeah. But I just want to make sure that accidentally I'm not making some people's situation worse in what is an overall positive conversation about how people can get better.
Yeah. And research would back up that you won't make people worse by bringing up the conversation. If anything,
but it won't trigger people. Then you're saying this conversation is no. You're saying that the conversation we're having here, there's no way this possibly could trigger people.
Well, as long as it's the way we're having it now, non-judgmental, giving healthy information, helping people understand with what's going on with them. 2 of the courses that I would deliver on behalf of the HSE are very recognised international courses on suicide prevention, and like this, on that kind of level, talking about suicide isn't going to trigger people having suicide. But yet, any one of us, if we're going through very rough times, it feels like hell. So our inner world feels like hell, but yet we will do our best to try to pretend that we're okay.
Yeah.
I'm able to go to work even though I feel like hell. I'm able to go into school even though I feel like hell. And at some point we'll start to kind of think, I can't do this anymore. And that's the time where we need to reach out for help. But for a lot of us, initially when we don't understand why am I having these thoughts, pride stops us, fear stops us. And then the danger then is that we do act on these thoughts, and I do strongly believe that if we focused more on school curriculums, education in general, in our talks at homes over the kitchen table, on mental health, the positives of mental health, and connect it with the fascination of the inner world that we all have, everyone would start to realise, I want to slice more of this. I didn't realise that's what mental health was about. I thought mental health was a negative kind of thing. Mental health is right up there with, right back, if you go way back to Socrates, what's the purpose of life? If I go around asking adults at workshops for a bit of a laugh, you're in your 50s now, what do you think the purpose of life is? A lot of people can't they've never thought really. And that's mental health is connected with finding your own purpose in life, and it's for each and every one of us to try to figure that out. Our parents can't tell us, teachers can't tell us. We have to figure that out ourselves. Mental health has the tools for that.
Yeah, Sinead,
I might just jump in there.
Yeah, go on. That's what I was going to bring you in there.
Just the conversation. Hello, how are you? I just wanted to say as well, or touching around what you had said, what do you say, and you might not open up. And I'm glad that you said men. I'm sitting here with 3 men thinking I'd love to give these men, it is okay. Men, I would love to shake men because they're taught from a young age. I'm a big boy. I don't cry, and it is, men as well as women, but definitely men. I would be very passionate, and so many men have reached out to me saying, I'm struggling, what do you do? Because I make mental health not being okay is okay, and a lot of people so I would really encourage men to speak out. Like women can speak for Ireland and gossip away, and it's not as easy for men, definitely not. But what I wanted to say was the conversation that you have is very important. What you had just said, it's not easy to take that good step, or it's not easy. I would have said, that's grand for you to go to a counsellor, and that's grand for this, and that's grand for you to do all the services. And I wouldn't have been strong enough to do it.
Because I was speaking to this, like I was speaking to, famous people, a lot of footballers speaking out, fair play to the musicians, okay. And a lot of the conversation, it's not a criticism of them, right, is that they were in a really bad place, as bad as you could be, right. And then they're back playing concerts, and they're back playing football, and, I'm not saying that's exactly how the life is, but that's sometimes how the stories come across. And I just know from talking to people and a bit of experience myself that can seem unachievable, and it can actually compound how you feel. So even though someone is advocating and speaking about what they did and that worked for them, if you're in that place, right? And you don't feel that you can do what they do. I just think sometimes you can go a step back. Now, that's only my opinion, and I'm not a professional, but by any stretch of the imagination. But that was kind of the point I was trying to make.
Yeah. Sorry, Bill, go ahead.
No, that's what I love about working in the mental health field is that there are no professionals in the mental health field. No one can really be an expert in my inner world. So, you know, in that respect, there isn't, you know, all anyone else can do is try to help me figure myself out.
Yeah.
So it's great. I don't feel pressure working with Mental Health Ireland, because I genuinely believe that we're all just muddling through trying to figure out who we are at the base of mental health. And it takes a kind of bit of pressure off.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to be really, you know, well on before you start working that out.
Yeah, and you mentioned about, you know, sports people and that. Two people keep it in mind when you mention that. Oisin McConville, Tony Adams. I remember hearing Oisin McConville speak, and I read Tony Adams' book, and they are two good examples just of people who have come through hell in their own way, but I would I guarantee that they wouldn't regret because it has forced them to look inward and try to figure out what's holding me back. Why am I? Why have I problems here with, be it gambling, be it other addictions, be it, you know, we can't avoid struggles in life, but my God, we can learn a lot about ourselves.
Sinead, and I'm going to bring Adam, you back in as well, of course, but I just want to give you an opportunity to finish your point you were making there, Sinead, because as well, we can call on men to sort of say it's okay to cry, it's okay to reach out for help, and it is. But we also, generally as a society, have to stop judging people as the male breadwinner, strong, and the woman, you know what I mean? I'm not saying for a second that's right, but you know, like we have to have the space, and this is what this is about, that to not judge a man
absolutely.
if they do answer the question when we ask, how are you?
And I think just a wee point that I want to make, or what I was going to make, was the education from me personally. Education, because that's what's wrong. It's fear and, you know, the unknown of mental health, and I think that's the gap that we're missing. So if you are going to have a conversation with someone, which I do encourage you to do, but partners and family and friends may not be
tools,
able
really,
to help you,
and
that the conversation could actually be damaging. So if you aren't able to give the correct information or education, please educate yourself in the services that we do have that will. And I can sit here and vouch for somebody who sat in the house for 6 months straight and wasn't able to get up. And now, thank God, through a long, you know, I missed the gap for a wee while to get to the services. So that's why I would just encourage everyone and their mothers and fathers, anyone, you know, who's struggling with mental health, to just educate yourself on the services and be the hello, how are you? When they're not okay, that you can pass them in the right direction.
And there's another group of people out there as well. There's the woman, and it can be the man, but primarily the woman who feels they are the glue that keeps absolutely everything together, and that they can't show an iota of weakness for fear that everything could collapse around them. And as I've spoken to enough of the people through this programme and outside of it to know that they find it very difficult to reach out for help, because then they wonder what the chain of events that follows might be in terms of letting other people down or what have you. Adam, tell us a bit more about what's happening at the ATU, the Atlantic Technology University, tomorrow then.
So tomorrow we're running as I said, between 10:30 and 12:30, we're running the Hello, How Are You workshop. It's a wellness cafe. Basically, we're running across all the campuses in the ATU. Basically, you come in, you sit down, and you start by having a quick chat. We have little menu cards, and just has little questions, just to kind of get the ball rolling. Like little quick questions. So, would you rather this or this? And just kind of getting your opinion on it, and from there it snowballs into an actual conversation. Well, that's the hopes anyway. It's a bit more informal than having to go in and sit on a couch and, you know, tell a shrink or a psychiatrist how things are. But it's just being able to chat to your fellow man or fellow person, just being able to actually speak to them and feel comfortable. It's not in like a setting where you feel like, right, the pressure's all on me, I have to, I have to wear this person, I have to tell them all my problems. It's just a
nice connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just
It
being
doesn't have to be about the person's problems either, is it? It's actually simply the conversation, isn't it? You don't have to get then I'm thinking, if people are listening and thinking if someone says hello, how are you today, they're probably saying, well, what do I say? How do I phrase? Just speak. Have a conversation.
We've
isn't
missed
it?
communication for so long, like human
I know,
communication.
but we were losing it long before. I know what you're on about, and for sure, but I think we're kind of losing the art of conversation way before that, Sinead. So say hello. This encourages starting the conversation, asking the question, using open-minded questions, and choosing the right place to talk. Then E, engage with the person. This is about being friendly and engaging and using inviting body language. Talk to me about that. I don't know which one of you want to. What do we mean when we say that?
People train in listening. Like if you decided tomorrow, do you know what, I want to be a counsellor?
Mm-hmm.
You would part of the training would be active listening. And we all think, well, you can either hear or you can't. What's the big deal about learning how to listen? But active listening is where it's a deeper way of listening, where you're concentrating more on what the person's saying, where you're feeding back every so often.
Is this where the open-ended questions come into it, rather than just giving the people an opportunity to say yes and no?
Open-ended questions are when you're wanting to give them an opportunity to share about themselves and stuff like that. If sometimes you do need the close-ended questions if it needs to be more directive.
Mm-hmm.
Like say for instance, if I need to find out whether you're maybe struggling and need immediate help. I would have probably used close-ended questions more and be more direct.
Yeah.
But in this kind of what we're talking about tomorrow, open-ended questions are brilliant. If I would say to you, Greg, I don't know much about you, Greg.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about your whole life, your whole upbringing.
But also, obviously, you want people to know you're listening, so you feed back and repeat back to them and sort of be a bit more engaged in the questions.
And that also helps them too, because it helps them hear what they have said themselves, and that in itself can be powerful, especially.
So it's like echoing, almost like this.
It verifies, it validates.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what that's exactly what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
Or it may be that you picked them up wrong. They said, no, that's not what I meant. What I meant was something else. So it makes sure that the communication is accurate in both ways.
Yeah. People will say that, and it comes up from time to time, and I'm not trying in any way be negative, but maybe this is people we mentioned barriers earlier on. What's the point in speaking out or talking to anyone because there's no supports there? Because I hear that a lot, and I just wonder sometimes, is that just someone trying to maybe delay,
or do they really care?
Yeah. So
there are fantastic supports out there. You have the formal supports, starting with your GP. Services, within usually within the HSE, when you're thinking of the more formal, like the mental health services. And always try to remember, these are just people doing their best to do a job.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the community services. And with struggles that I would have had in the past, a lot of the help I would have got would have been in the community services.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have GROW, you have AWARE, you have family resource centres. Places like that are full of people who are passionate and want to help. At our core, we want to help each other. We don't like to see other people struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So when someone is kind of looking for help, we just want to do it. And there are, and like Sinead said, the more that we know of people working in different services, it makes it more of a human connection.
Just one point for any of you here. I just wonder sometimes that, often the analogy's made that, someone will say, I've got a broken leg, and everyone go, oh, you've got a broken leg, let me sign your cast. But I just wondered, is there any merit to the argument of the language we use as it relates to mental health? In other words, like mental health is just everything. Like we don't relate to all physical health as all physical health. We talk about cancer, we talk about emergency treatment, we talk about, all different parts of I just think sometimes now when we hear the word mental health, it goes over a lot of people's health because it's just mental health. But do we need to? Would there be any advantage in how we discuss it to be a bit more nuanced? Different areas of mental health. I know we do, but often everything is jumped into mental health. I just wonder if it washes past people sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you get my point?
I do, and I think we can overthink it at times too. And what happens sometimes too is if we start thinking, well, is there different types of mental health? You might go down the road of labelling. And I think that the more simple we keep it, the better. In that, first of all, mental health is not mental illness. Mental illness is kind of like the bottom end of the scale of mental health. Mental health.
Yeah, well, people say poor mental health. They don't say mental illness.
Exactly. But you have fantastic mental health. But we have to learn how to manage all mental health. If I was to ask you the question, Greg, when's the last time you remember waking up and choosing, saying, God, I haven't been angry in ages or depressed. I think I'll get angry today. Or I think I'll get annoyed today. There's emotions that we try to avoid, but there's huge learning in them. And if we could understand that the good days are fantastic. We don't actually learn much about our mental health and well-being then. We just enjoy it. It's like sailing on a day when there's not much wind. Whereas the days that we struggle with, be it finances, be it family and stuff like that, there's actually huge learning in the end days. But unfortunately, you have those kind of emotions.
But when you're in the midst of that, it's very hard to think with the clarity.
And that's what I would
take
do.
your point.
To learn that is fun. To learn how to manage those kind of days.
Did you? Do you think there's anything we need to change about the conversation, or how we discuss these issues? I don't know when you were when you.
I felt when I was at my lowest that no one understood it, no one got it. And as you just said, and I think because I've put myself in a spotlight, and it's not even if you're in a spotlight, you could be a mommy or you could be a schoolboy or anyone. Sure, what would be wrong with you? Or I just think education, like my tool and my power was educating myself on mental health, and it was hard to do it personally. And when I got services, it was much easier. So I think education is educating yourself on what is available, educating yourself on poor mental health and understanding your own battle, whatever it may be, and coming to terms with it. And when you understand it and educate, it's much like anything. Like if you had a sore leg for ages and were running about and didn't know what exactly was wrong with it, you could never fix it and you'd be wasting time. Not
people
wasting
do,
time.
but people do, yeah.
And it's
right.
exactly
Okay.
with mental health, and there's so many tools and different services and things that can help, pinpoint.
I mean, the likes of the ATU and formerly LYT do lots in this regard. Do you think we could be doing more, though, Adam, I wonder?
I believe you could always be doing more,
Yeah,
how much you're
good
doing, I
answer.
suppose. Don't get me wrong, the ATU and everyone I've worked with over the past couple of years have been excellent in advocating for mental health, be it men's mental health, women's mental health, any in general. Like I know for a fact the support staff we have in the college are excellent, and I know there's nothing more they could possibly be doing, but at the same time then there's always something that I feel like could be done. So whenever we heard about the wellness cafe coming in, we jumped at the chance. We were like, excellent, this is something else to help kind of combat this.
Yep. And tomorrow, 10:30am to 12pm in the ATU there in Letterkenny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anything else you just want to add, Bill? Adam?
There's the other events around the county. If people want to know what's on where, they can go into the Hello How Are You .info. If they Google that, or the Mental Health Ireland website will tell you what's on in your own region around Donegal, or
Right.
any other county.
Sinead?
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm okay. Okay.
No, thank you very much, Greg.
No, it's been good to have you on. I think Sinead too as well. Because you're coming from we all could be in the same, but you're coming from the position where you've been there and come
I
through.
think
it a bit,
everybody
and
will
you're
need it
talking
at some stage,
Exactly,
be
you're
it
talking
small
about
or large. So I think it's important to take tomorrow as a national check-in day, be it, and a lot of good could come from it.
Okay, Bill Vaughan from Mental Health Ireland. Thank you, Sinead Black, a mental health ambassador, and Adam O'Flaherty, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. Is outgoing president at the Atlantic Technological University. So for a while, at least, you were president of the ATU in Letterkenny. So you're the only person ever who would have been the president of both LYT and ATU.
Exactly.
Quite historic, isn't it? Well done to you.
That's it.
All right. Just in case you hadn't thought about that, I'm sure you had. All right. We'll be back with more on the programme after we take this break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Clear Mobile has 99% 4G population coverage. So where are people going?
Out west with 4 bars and all. Dublin, outside of Dublin.
Longford, Waterford, all the Fords.
There you go. This April, choose great coverage with unlimited calls, texts and data from $12.99 a month. Clearmobile.ie. You clear? They are. 30-day contract. Activation fee and fair usage applies. Max data speed 5 megabits per second. $12.99 subject to eligibility. Ends 30th of April 2022. See clearmobile.ie for terms.
Are you passionate about customer service? Then Concentrix wants to hear from you. Right now, Concentrix is recruiting work-at-home customer service advisors to join our growing global business in Donegal. If you're looking for an exciting opportunity where you can earn, learn and grow, apply today by searching Donegal at jobs.concentrix.com.
Flanagan's massive half-price store clear-out sale is now on in Buncrana. There's 50% of Irish-made sofas, tables, beds, wardrobes, rugs and occasional furniture. Pay today and take it away. See flanagans.ie.
At ESB Networks, we're connecting Ireland to a clean electric future. And as part of the National Smart Metering Programme, we're now installing smart electricity meters in your area. Your new smart meter will reduce the need for estimated bills, help you to manage your electricity usage more efficiently, and enable you to access smart electricity products and services. We'll contact you before your meter is installed. Find out more at esbnetworks.ie/smartmeter.
There's amazing deals every week at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Great specials in tools, hardware and homeware. If you're a tradesperson or you're doing a one-off job, you'll find everything from power tools to hand tools and paint to work clothing. For great weekly deals and a great selection, visit Watson Hire at Kiltoy, Letterkenny. For more information, visit the Facebook page or see watsonhire.ie.
What's Santa's favourite colour? I don't know. Run next door and ask him.
Lolls in Lapland? Could be. Get your ticket from Highland Radio at highlandradio.com.
And if that's not enough, enter before Friday the 8th of April to also be in with a chance to win one of our bonus cash prizes of €1,000.
Let's call out his name.
Mike Denver in concert with guests Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine at the Millennium Forum Derry on Saturday, April 23rd. Tickets at the theatre box office. That's Mike Denver in concert at the Millennium Forum with Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine on Saturday, April 23rd.
Century Complex, the perfect family day out this Easter. Kids will love exploring Century Play. We have lots of tasty options at Backstage Bar and Grill. And Century Cinemas are showing kids' movies, rom-coms, action and adventure movies, dramas and more. Call us on 07491211976 or visit centurycinemas.ie.
Break free from the same old. Join a community where people can grow and be at their best. Join ZincWorks and develop software for the biggest companies in the world, working with 5G and financial services. We value learning. We want you to be a better engineer every day you work with us. We value teamwork. We want you to learn from your peers and help your peers learn. We're hiring now for our new offices based in Letterkenny. See zincworks.com/careers.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €4.5 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
A massive spring bed sale is now on at Grove Furnishings, your local easy living store. For 1 week only, there's extra discounts on all beds and mattresses. There's 20% off all Sealy beds, along with Cirrus, Nimbus and Stratus mattresses. And there's free delivery to Donegal, Derry and Tyrone. That's right now at Grove Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny. Business Matters in association with the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal. Looking for a career in financial services? Consider the Level 9 MA in Governance, Compliance and Data Protection. Take the next step in your career and contact the Exec Ed Coordinator on 9186206 or email execed, EXECED @lyit.ie today.
Okay. Sorry for the pregnant pause there before we played the sting. Couldn't find it. It is Wednesday. Highland Radio's Business Matters podcast is available for you online today. It is put together and presented by Kieran O'Donnell, who joins us now to look forward to it and keeps updated from the world of news. Good morning, Kieran. How are you?
Good morning, great. I'm good.
Okay. How are you keeping?
I'm very good.
Right. Wrong microphone. Let's try that one. Yes.
I'm good, yeah. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Right, okay. Let's start with some news, Kieran. Councils come together to launch Best of the Northwest.
Yeah, the Best of the Northwest is set to be showcased widely over the coming weeks as part of an exciting new collaborative tourism campaign launched by Donegal County Council and Derry City and Strabane Council, working in partnership with Visit Derry and Donegal Tourism. The domestic marketing initiative is aimed at encouraging local people and visitors across the island of Ireland to book a staycation on their own doorstep. So this campaign is funded through Northwest Development Fund in conjunction with the Executive Office and the Irish Government.
I presume they're trying to capitalise on what we did organically in lockdown, really, and that was when we could holiday at home or close to home.
Yeah, very much. I'm sure it's a follow-on from what happened over the last couple of years, and I suppose if they can get some percentage or the same percentage again of visitors to stay local, stay in the region or stay in the area, they'll be happy.
All right, it's a slight increase, but an increase nonetheless. Actually, I do wonder sometimes, I do wonder what impact the availability of new cars had on these figures, but anyway, maybe.
Yeah, 1,208 cars were registered in Donegal for the first quarter of 2022. That's an increase of just 13 cars compared to the figure for the first 3 months of last year, according to the latest figures released by the Society of Irish Motor Industry. Now, nationally, new car registrations for the month of March were up 40.7%, 12,935, when compared to March 2021, which was 9,192. Registrations year to date are up 4%, 49,000, on the same period last year, 48,000. So for the month of March, 1,930 new electric vehicles were registered compared to 1,034 in March 2021. And so far this year, 6,244 new electric cars have been registered, and that's compared to 2,816 for the same period in 2021, which is most significant.
Yeah, it's a long way to go, though, to get to where...
You do wonder,
from 2030, what, 1 million cars or something on the road?
I think it's pie in the sky.
We're doing it 3,000 at a time. And when they count electric cars, not putting you on the spot, are they full electric or hybrid? Do they combine those figures, do you think?
Well, until they give you a wrong answer, I don't know.
Yeah, they might combine them.
Possibly.
I don't know, do
Possibly.
they? I don't know.
Listen, there was a much more extensive breakdown, Greg.
I'm not putting you spot. It's more just to tease it out.
I'm just not sure.
Bit.
Yeah.
Because...
But you can see there is a visible shift towards electric. But you know, as you posed the question, you know, are they going to get to the magic number that they're looking for?
And will we have the infrastructure to support that? We can do our bit, but they have to do their bit. Isn't that really the way it is?
Yeah.
Right.
Affordable is like question 2, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It is. But I think more coming onto the second-hand market now, and range is becoming less of a factor for us, particularly here in rural Donegal. But listen, I mean, a lot of people are still buying new cars. You know, that's a lot. A lot of people buying new cars in this county. So if you're in for a penny, in for a pound, it's a case of those people. It's more those on an income where they can't buy new cars and, you know, normally buy cars, you know, maybe 7-10 years old. It's going to be a long time before electric vehicles will feel accessible to those people, I think.
Very much.
Right, new jobs in West Donegal, always good to hear.
Yeah, the former Austin Glenveigh in Gweedore, which is being redeveloped as the Social, is set to create up to 60 new jobs when it reopens. Shane Bauer of Gola Hospitality and a grandson of Don Bauer, who ran the hotel for years, is behind the development of the Social, along with his wife Elaine. The newly opened Dodge venue is part of the Social Hotel complex, and major renovations have taken place there in recent months before the venues reopened recently. The 19-bedroom hotel closed in 1999. It was just 8 years after the Bauer family carried out major renovations and a large extension. So there's a lot happening in Gweedore. We've talked about it over the last number of months, Greg, and that's another good news story for the area.
I think we need to really be invited to go and stay there.
Well, you're in a roll. You were in London and Dublin, so Gweedore for number 3.
I get 2 things in 4 years, and you give me
I'll ask you and they stick you on the invite list. I'll ask you and stick you on the invite list.
Well, the proof of the pudding, I'm sure it's absolutely wonderful. But,
I'd love to see you.
I'm just fishing here. Right, okay, rural post offices have been on, we've been talking about them for quite some time now. more recently, there's been more intense conversation on them. It had sort of died down for a while. What's the story?
Yeah, the government is drawing up plans for a new multi-million euro fund to keep rural post offices open amid warnings that up to 200 branches are at risk of closure without a new scheme before the end of the year. Junior Minister for Postal Services Hildegard Naughton and her officials have been in talks with the Department of Public Expenditure about a new fund which could be in the region of €8 billion to maintain the viability of the existing post office network. The Irish Postmasters Union has warned that up to 200 post offices are at risk of closure without government support. And 4 years ago, an agreement between An Post and the APU brought the transformation payments for postmasters as part of a restructuring deal that saw 161 post offices across the country close after postmasters were offered voluntary retirement packages.
Voluntary, but probably for
it's a story that's been running. I remember one of my first lead stories I wrote back about 1990 was the threat of a third of post offices were closing Donegal, and that's a theme that sort of seems like recurring now and again,
Did you ever use one of those typewriters, like,
manual typewriters? Yes.
Jessica Fletcher type ones?
I did indeed. That's where I started on.
Oh my word.
The Port Road with a manual typewriter.
Do you still have it?
No, I don't think so. Well, it could be there somewhere. It's well battered out, I'll tell you.
I'd say so. Some nonsense come out of it.
You're right.
Joke. Dunlow Digital.
No, you're right. Some of it was good.
No, only messing. Dunlow Digital Hub officially opens. Tell us about this.
GTech Narasa as a new high quality innovation and digital hub was officially opened on Friday by Junior Gaeltacht Minister Jack Chambers. The digital hub is home to 18 shared office spaces, 4 offices and a canteen, and is one of 27 hubs that will be opened in Gaeltacht areas over the coming months.
Yeah, I've been at these before. It's interesting to see how they operate, and they do be a hive of activity. Like, I'm not saying that one's at that stage yet, but
look, it fits in very much with the focus of our podcast this week, actually, because it's focusing on the success story that's Creven Community and Enterprise Centre, and they had their hub.
Well, before you get too much into that, we'll take a quick break then. And we'll get the full. You got a teaser there. You'll get the full introduction from Kieran after these.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny, home of the new ProA City, your perfect business partner.
It's no longer a secret. At Functional Foods, we have excellent value on everyday food products for that special occasion or party. So keep your food bill down without compromise on quality and value. Check out our regular promotions on Facebook or call and see what we have to offer as we open to the public Monday to Saturday. Opening hours on Facebook. Located in Trio Food Yard, Ballyrain Road, next to LYIT.
The cost of living? Oh. The rate of fuel? Oh. The price of 3 broadband? Ooh. Get 3 months free home broadband with no setup costs on Ireland's fastest 5G network. Only €39 per month after that. But hey, don't just take it from me. Take it from Sinead and Buncrana, who said, "It's great. We've 4 TVs, multiple laptops and PlayStations on the go. I've recommended it to everyone. I'd give it 10 out of 10. Sign up in our Buncrana store today. 3. For a better connected life. Minimum term and direct debit required. Speeds may vary, subject to availability. Fastest 5G network based on analysis by Ookla of speed test intelligence data Q3 to Q4 2021. See 3.ie.
There's more furniture than ever on display at McGinley's Furniture in Letterkenny. With extra floor space, there's more suites, beds, dining room and occasional furniture. Also more rugs, mirrors and lamps, all available for immediate delivery. If you'd like to make a beautiful addition to your home, there's more furniture than ever to choose from at McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny, and at mcginleysfurniture.com.
Donegal and Tyrone clash this Friday evening for a place in the Ulster Under-20 Football Championship Final. Join myself, Oisín Kelly and Martin McHugh in Celtic Park and Derry with live match commentary on our website on highlandradio.com from the 8 p.m. throw-in. In association with the Old Orchard Inn, High Road, Letterkenny, who have launched their brand new menu under Chef David Turio. You can also relax in the all-new Theo's Cocktail Bar and Terrace. See the Orchard Inn, Letterkenny on Facebook for more.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Get ready to hit the beach and soak up the sun by choosing flights to Alicante, Barcelona, Faro, Mallorca, Malaga and Milan this summer with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport, you're flying.
All right, the weather forecast for today, it's been updated for you to read that becoming very windy this afternoon. There'll be sunny spells and showers, some possibly with hail. Westerly winds will increase strong to near gale force with gales along Atlantic coast. Temperatures of 8 to 10 degrees. So a real change in the weather again there, right? Still in the company of Kieran O'Donnell, presenter of the Business Matters podcast. Kieran, and you're smoothly going to move on to the contents of this podcast. I rudely interrupted you, but we had to take the ad. So what's coming up?
Yeah, on this week's podcast, Greg, we'll be focusing on the success story that is Creeveen Community and Enterprise Centre in Termon. Last week saw the official opening of the Co-working plus GTech digital hub within the centre, where 9 companies are now based. Mary Doherty has been manager at Creeveen Community and Enterprise Centre for the last 12 years, and she spoke about the turnaround and the fortunes of the centre, which is now debt-free.
10 years ago we were here, the snow was thick on the ground one of the winters, and the board of directors were wondering would they pull their money to pay the wages, and that was the reality. Now we're sitting with a profitable centre, 2 great social enterprises running from it, a childcare service that we could triple, staff that are happy. We have a good staff retention rate. Of course people move on, it's only natural, but all in all the centre is a happy, nice place to be, I think.
Right, that's... Oh, Mike's all up the wrong place. All right, that's Mary. Who else is on the show?
Yeah, Cormac Coughlin is Community Operations Manager with Gigabel, and Neil Sullivan is the founder of Hadfield Green, and both, Greg, are based at the Co-working plus GTech digital hub located within Creeveen Centre. I asked the pair about the benefits of relocating to Donegal and basing themselves at the Co-working digital hub in Termon. The first of the two voices you'll hear is Cormac Coughlin's.
Going from a 1-bedroom apartment in Rathmines to Port Nabla outside Dunfanaghy, where you have 3 or 4 beaches within a 5-minute drive, or you can just walk down. Then coming here to Termon to Creeveen, the facilities are unreal. The people here, staff, everything, and it's just the ability to reach out to people, have a cup of tea, ask them a few questions, find out who they are, where they're from. It's amazing the connections. Just yesterday at the launch, like the amount of people who knew my parents, my brothers, my sisters, club mates, different things like that. It's amazing, the community feel, and I'd recommend anyone who's considering going to a working space like this, give it a go. Like, you won't regret it. You might do a hybrid model, you might work from home a couple of days, you might come here a couple of days, but I couldn't fault it, to be honest.
And Neil, the same question to yourself, how good a move has it been for you and your family?
It's been a fantastic move in so many ways, and just to echo what Cormac says, I think this has it all. I mean, we have co-working offices in London and co-working offices in Dublin, and you know, this is very unique here, and it's a brilliant place. But what we're really excited about is what the future looks like for a place like this. You know, there's no doubt that this is a phenomenal success, but we're full now. You know, we want more companies. Where there's more companies, there's more opportunities for collaboration, more opportunities for mutual business interests. But you know, you have the crack with the girls in the childcare facility, the whole team that I alluded to earlier. This whole facility is brilliant, and I think it's if there's more opportunities to grow and expand it, it's just brilliant for the whole community, the whole area, and it'll be great to watch that develop.
Yeah, always good, isn't it, to get the views of those who use these facilities and how it actually works for them. Yeah,
Cormac and Neil, I suppose they both come from different backgrounds. Cormac is originally from Letterkenny, went away, university, work took him to the continent, came back, was based in Dublin, and a couple of years ago he decided to come back to Donegal. So he's living himself in Dunfanaghy. His office is 20 minutes from there. His home is 10 or 15 minutes from here in Letterkenny. Neil is originally from London, was based in Dublin, married a lady from Rathmullen. They have 2 children, and they decided in the middle of the pandemic to come back to Donegal and relocate to outside Letterkenny, and he is working himself now in Termon. And I suppose the one thing that both individuals touched on, remote working gives a sense of being alone, but going into that digital hub takes away that sense of being on your own, and they're very much together, even though that they're foraging away at their own different roles and their own different companies. there is a sense of togetherness, a sense of community, and a real energy around the centre.
Yeah, and maybe even available for those childcare facilities if applicable too. I suppose sometimes that might work out for people.
The one thing that was mentioned at the open, Greg, was that the centre has become a victim of its own success. There is no more room, so their plans is to expand now and develop further.
All right. The full interviews with Mary Doherty, Cormac Coughlin and Neil Sullivan are available now on our website, highlandradio.com. Go to the playback section. It's there for you, the on-demand section, we call it. It's also available for you on Spotify and iTunes to listen at your leisure. So that's if you want to listen to it on demand. If you want to listen to it on air, Kieran?
Yeah, it will go out after the 6 o'clock news, Greg, on Sunday evening.
All right, anyone looking to get in touch with you or the programme, how do you go about doing so?
Just drop me an email, please, Greg. businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
All right, thanks very much for that, Kieran. We look forward to seeing you on the programme, all being well, next Wednesday. Kieran O'Donnell there. Business Matters podcast available for you right now. Ed Sheeran, by the way, has won his copyright battle against Sammy Chokri and Ross O'Donoghue. It's over the 2017 hit Shape of You. Sheeran and his Shape of You co-writers Snow Patrol's John McDade and producer Steve McCutcheon denied ripping off the 2015 song Oh Why by Sammy Chokri. Chokri, a grime artist who performs under the name Sammy Switch, and his co-writer Ross O'Donoghue claimed an OY hook in Shape of You is strikingly similar to an OY refrain in their track. The Shape of You co-authors launched legal proceedings in May 2018 asking the High Court to declare they had not infringed Chokri and Mr. Donoghue's copyright. But anyway, Ed Sheeran's won his battle, so you'll be able to hear if you're one of the lucky ones, got a ticket for some of those Whelan's gigs or for the Croke Park shows, which should be interesting. Shape of You will be there, no bother. All right, okay. Some of your comments here. Hi, a lot of talk about using electricity at night. Do we all get cheaper electricity or do we need to install a new meter? I'm not sure how that works. I personally, and I did say this publicly on another platform, the likes of MABS and all recommending that people switch to night electricity and put on dishwashers, washing machines, tumble dryers. Any conversation I've ever had with anyone involved in the fire service, that's a no-no. You don't put those white goods on if you're not in the house or in bed at night. So I don't see the benefit of switching over to night electricity unless it's to charge your car. Maybe other out there would have no problem with it, but I just don't think that's responsible to be recommending people switch to night electricity so as to run those type of goods. But do you need another meter? I'm not quite sure how it works. A caller says there's more than Putin that's responsible for the war. Ukraine slaughtered thousands of Russian-speaking people in the east of Ukraine since 2014. The Western media completely ignore it, just like they do the total cruelty and injustice that they continue to inflict on Julian Assange, the only true impartial investigative journalist in the West. So much for freedom of free speech. He's not in the West, he's in Russia, and he's not saying anything at the moment, actually. Julian Assange said there is no way Russia would invade the Ukraine. You would know, obviously, because you seem to know an awful lot about Julian Assange. You'd know that he's in exile in Moscow, but since the war has started, he hasn't said anything at all. So that's how true and impartial an investigative journalist he is at the moment. If I've got the right person, I presume I have. I'll have to double check that. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong in that regard. Maybe it's another impartial journalist that I'm referencing. Okay, back with... Actually, we don't have time to get back with anything. We have to go. That's it. Thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for taking part. Thanks for being involved. We're back with you tomorrow morning at 9. Do not fear, though. More entertainment with John Breslin around the Northwest after the news at 12.